Jury deliberations have ended. The jury was sent home. They will come back tomorrow. They did not reach a verdict. That's unsurprising. But I guess what is also not surprising is that the judge instructed the jury that when it comes to finding if Trump is guilty, they must unanimously agree that Trump committed a crime. But the underlying crime can be one of three. By all means, pick yours. And as long as you all agree at least one of them was broken, not unanimously, then he is guilty. That's right. The underlying crime could be one of three different things that Trump may or may not have done. And they don't have to agree that Donald Trump did those things as long as each of them agrees at least one of those things happened. So this is insane. They've basically rigged this against Trump. When the prosecution said this, I was surprised the judge let it through. And then the judge gave the instructions to the jury. While you must agree that the principal crime, falsifying business records, was committed, the underlying crime, which makes it a felony, pick and choose. It could be anything you think. And so here we are now. Of course, the corporate press is lying about it. And they're saying, no, it's all fake news. So we'll talk about that. We got a couple other funny stories. Biden snapping at a reporter. Hunter Biden apparently wants to sue Fox News because they called him a degenerate crackhead. Yeah, we'll talk about all that. Before we get started, my friends, go to castbrew.com and pick up Ian's Graphene Dream. That's right. Castbrew.com. You can support the show. Castbrew is our coffee. And we've got Ian's Graphene Dream Low Acidity finally released for all of you big graphene fans. I know you're out there. If you want to support the work we do, this is one way to do it. You can also head over to Timcast.com, click Join Us, become a member. If you want to hang out for our uncensored members-only call-in show, that means you as members get to call into the show and talk to us and our guests. So go to Timcast.com, click Join Us. You've got to sign up. If you're signing up for the first time, at least $25 per month if you want to get into the members call-in room, or be a member at $10 a month for at least 6 months. This is our basic gatekeeping screening process because you get activists and weirdos who are trying to come in and cause problems for those that are trying to ask legitimate questions. And considering it's a call-in show, we have to be able to screen out the crackpots who are trying to disrupt and cause us problems. But it also means that you're supporting our work because the show is made possible thanks mostly to you guys as members. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel right now, share the show with all of your friends on the internet. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Mike Lindell.
Thanks for having me on.
Everyone knows who you are, but do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I used to be known as the My Pillow guy. I think now it's the election platform guy.
You're still the pillow guy.
Yeah. Okay. We sell a lot more than pillows, everybody, too. And I'm here to say my employees all say hello. We're still here, even in spite of all the attacks. And my employee-owned company, we've made it through, and by the grace of God. And so I'm actually backed out to be able to do shows again. I've been sitting there back home in Minnesota trying to protect my employees and everything from all the media attacks and the cancellations and the lawfare going on against My Pillow. Here's their CEO out there wanting to get secure elections and they get sued. You know?
It's crazy. The debanking, really the cancellations. Well, I buy your stuff. We just bought a big order of all the My Pillow stuff, and so we love it. Well, so thanks for being here. It should be fun.
Thanks. I got to see the skateboard thing out there with the My Pillow pit.
That's right.
That's
awesome. We got a big pit of pillows, and the kids were jumping into it.
Yeah, I watched it. It was awesome.
Right on. All right, we got Phil hanging out.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. How you doing, Hannah Claire?
I'm good. It's fun to be back. It's good to see you again. I'm Hannah Claire Brimmel. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. That's Scanner News. Follow all of their work on the internet at Timcast News. Hi, Serge.
Howdy, y'all. Let's get started, Tim.
The big news today is that the jury has begun its deliberations. They wrapped without coming to a verdict. That is unsurprising. AP has the story. Jurors in Trump hush money trial end first day of deliberations after asking to rehear testimony. And then they sent another note in asking for the judge's instructions again because no one knows what the crime is. Nobody understands what's going on. Now, here's the best part. Let's start from the beginning. Jonathan Turley posting this earlier in the morning. Merchan just delivered the coup de grace instruction. He said that there is no need to agree on what occurred. They can disagree on what the crime was among the three choices. Thus, this means that they could split 4-4-4 and he would still treat them as unanimous. Now, the other day in closing arguments, we heard this from the prosecution, and I knew the prosecution would do something like this. Like, hey, you all know that Trump's a criminal. Just convict him. Say he committed a crime. And the prosecution actually presents this. The judge actually agrees. We have this from Mark Levin. The grotesque trial charade gets even worse this morning. The Stalinist clown judge directed the jury that they can choose among 3 areas of crimes to convict the former president. 1, violations of federal election law, which no one in the courtroom is familiar with, and the judge barred Brad Smith from testifying about. 2, falsification of business records. And 3, tax violations. Of course, the issue for all of the above is the requirement of criminal intent. Furthermore, the idea that jurors can pick one of the 3 and they don't have to unanimously agree on which of the 3 is another shocking development. Moreover, the federal campaign violation has still not been defined. Now, here's where it gets good. The corporate press, of course, is playing the game where they create their own conspiracy theory and then debunk it to trick people into not realizing what's going on. The AP says posts misrepresent New York judges' instructions to jury in Trump hush money trial, claiming that the claim is that the judge told the jury they don't need to have a unanimous verdict. No, nobody said that. We're talking about the underlying crime. That's what Jonathan Turley pointed out. That's what Mark Levin pointed out. Basically, everyone pointed out that what they're saying is, if the jury says, yeah, Trump falsified a record, what is the other crime he's covering up? The judge says, you pick. It's up to you, because there's never been one. Right. They don't have one. So if buried in this AP assessment, false. Merchan said that to convict Trump, the jury will have to find unanimously on each of the 34 felony counts. And then when you go down, they actually break down, well, not really. The judge told the jury to convict Trump on any given charge. To convict, they'll have to find unanimously. They all must agree the former president created a fraudulent entry in the company's records or caused someone else to do so. They say the crime Trump committed or hid is a violation of New York election law, making it illegal for 2 or more conspirators to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. Merchan gave the jurors 3 possible, quote, unlawful means, aka crimes, that they can apply to Trump's charges: falsifying other business records, breaking FEC law, or submitting false information in tax return. For conviction, each juror would have to find that at least one of those 3 things happened, but they don't have to agree unanimously on which it was. This whole time we've been wondering, what is the underlying crime? They took a misdemeanor beyond the statute of limitations and said, yes, but he was concealing another crime, therefore it's now a felony and we can charge him. And everyone said, what's the underlying crime? They went, oh. And the jury can figure it out if they want, but they don't got to be unanimous. This is a rigged trial from the judge. Welcome to 2024. I'm not convinced that I think there's a decent probability Trump gets convicted.
I don't know what you do about a situation that's so convoluted. The feds don't have any kind of authority to step in. And it seems like the entire Justice Department of the state of New York is going to allow this. I mean, on its face, it seems completely and totally ridiculous. It also seems like everyone's kind of like, well, you know, once it gets to appeals, it's going to be obviously overturned or whatever, which would be the right thing. But I'm still just like, I feel like
How
there
long
needs
does
to
it
be.
take?
I feel like there needs to be some kind of remedy to I wish there were. I feel like there should be, even if there isn't, some kind of remedy to stop this. But I don't know that there is.
It's weird that the prosecution doesn't have to be specific in the crime that they're alleging they're trying to cover up.
I feel like that's part of the Constitution.
I feel like it reminds me of that show Whose Line Is It Anyways? And Drew Carey would always be like, "Where the points don't matter." Like that's the prosecution right now. The crimes don't matter as long as you convict, which is obviously to me an abuse of the justice system. And you're completely right. This if tried as a misdemeanor, they couldn't have brought it after 2019 and it wouldn't come with the jail sentence. So there's this weird, it all comes down to the fact that they are trying this as a felony, but the judge just said, but just forget about the stuff that would make it a felony. You can make that up as we go along.
This is not the one that they had to change the statute of limitation. This is the one
no.
That was the Stormy Daniels one, right?
No. This is the Stormy Daniels one.
Okay.
E. Jean Carroll was when she sued Trump.
Okay, all right. So that was finished.
They created a new law. It's
like it's all so insane.
But it's not
This
political.
is the anomalies the times we're in. It's like, none of this has ever happened before.
No.
Ever. And, I live it every day, different things. And I watch our real president and what's happening there. Can I say that? Our real president?
Well, he really was a president at one point.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah. Well, he's Mr. President.
Right. But anyway, these are times where, it's like, so many nonsensical things, and you just got to look at what's the real agenda. There's another agenda if you can't make sense of it. And, I think it's backfiring, though. I really do. I talked to our president, I'll say our real president, the other day, and he talks about, all the time that this weaponizing against him, but he gets to come out there. He thinks of the positive. At least he gets to talk to worldwide media and say, and there people are seeing through all this. I mean, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I go everywhere in the country, and they're seeing through this. So I think there's actually good that's going to come out of it eventually. Going, hey, we can't ever let this kind of stuff happen again.
But there are people that are Trump supporters saying, like normies, independents won't care. Biden, what is this? Biden's supposed to have a press conference when the verdict comes out. Is that what is that what the plan is?
That's what I've heard.
And of course, if that's the case, because that's the rumor going around, or it may be definitive news. I haven't checked. But if that's true, we all know what he's going to say. He's going to say Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Right. Do not vote for this man. And a lot of people are going to just be drooling into their laps, going, "Okay."
Right. Yeah. But you know what? It's like this has been going on for so long. It's like the kid that called wolf, the little boy that called wolf. It keeps going on, and people are seeing through it. And I'm not just people on the right or people on the left too. It's like their eyes are getting open that this is a weaponization against all of our rights. I've had things that are going on, and I really think that. People see through that. Any other time in history, you could go back and pick any indictment that he's gotten or anything that's happened, and they're done. Your political career is over. I take even myself as a businessman. I get they couldn't get my pass, so he's a crack guy. Yeah, I admitted it, though I said it right away, right? But if, you get a phone taken at a Hardee's drive-through, everyone's going. And normally in a normal world, they say, "What crime did you commit, Mike? What did you do? Why did the FBI after you?" My buddy that was with me coming back for a hunt trip, he's scared to death. I'm going. What did I do? I want to be arrested, and they wouldn't arrest me. I mean, we're living in some weird times because of crazy times.
This is the terrifying reality of our current state, the current state of our country. The court of public opinion controls everything, basically. Mm-hmm. And so what's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty isn't anymore. Yeah, people watch you get arrested. They just assume the government is right and you're a bad person.
There are some polls, though, that have said that Trump could win independence. A conviction could help Trump with independence in certain states. There was one from Emerson College.
I believe even more than that. I told him the other day, I said, you have a bucket here of common sense bucket. And I go around, I've got a thing. I just was in the heart of Chicago talking to Democrats here that voted for Biden. They're now voting for Trump. And I asked them why. I went around and asked them all why. I had 500 of them in a room. And you ask them why, there's different reasons. Well, one of the biggest thing is what they are economy right now and the border open and the fentanyl pouring, things like that. But they're also looking at, as he's getting attacked, they're flipping into this bucket of common sense going, I told on his first indictment, I remember saying, his polls went up. And I said, man, you keep getting indicted, your polls, you're pretty sure you're going to have more votes than voters like Pennsylvania. They have more votes than voters every election in Pennsylvania.
Well, they're really good at what they do.
That's right.
It is wild, though. I mean, I think Trump has really struck a chord in the way that, progressive sort of activists in these ADAs and district attorney's offices couldn't have predicted. Like being somebody who is being sort of chased by the federal government, who is being persecuted on the level that he is, really won his hearts and minds of people, especially people who are not that interested in politics, but mostly they want the government to leave them alone. The idea that they would go after a former president who's also a billionaire in his home state is terrifying to anyone who doesn't have any means of fighting a corrupt judicial system.
And I live that. They come after me in my business just because I have a big platform out there. I know so many small businesses that have been just attacked and they're done, with what's going on. They don't have a voice. They don't have a voice, and I think you're right. You've touched a chord with people out there going, what if it was us? Well, if they can do it there, they could do it here. I don't care what party you're in.
I like to point out Fareed Zakaria on CNN saying this case would not have been brought against a person whose name was not Donald Trump. Right. It's a really stupid way of saying they only brought this case because it's Trump. Right. But when CNN is saying that, regular people hear it. Yeah. And then when you hear stuff like this is why the AP is trying to cover up for the judge. Mm-hmm. Like this is the game they play. Guys, if for everybody watching this, I want to hammer this point in. I explain this all the time. Someone will claim something, Someone will say, like, hey, I noticed a thing. The corporate press will slightly alter the claim and then at the very bottom explain that it was true the whole time. So the example I often give is Donald Trump will do a backflip, and land perfectly in front of everybody.
Right.
And then what Snopes and all these corporate press outlets will do is they'll write, did Donald Trump really do a backflip, ... on Sunday morning? False, in big, bold letters. Then it'll give you this huge 2-page breakdown, and at the very bottom, it'll say, while it is true that Trump did a backflip on Saturday, he did not do it on Sunday when no one made that claim. And to exemplify this, we know for a fact the judge said the underlying crime can be one of 3 so long as you agree at least one of them was broken. Even if you don't agree that he broke all of them or you're not even unanimous, it's fine to convict him on the first charge. What they've changed now is, according to the AP, they're saying the claim is that you don't need a unanimous verdict to convict Trump, when the claim was always you don't need to be unanimous on the underlying crime.
Right.
What they've done is they've created their own conspiracy. And what'll happen now is regular people, you'll be sitting at dinner. We've got the 4th of July coming up. You're gonna come to the family and you're gonna be at the lake drinking a beer and you're gonna be talking about this case. And they're gonna be like, no, that's fake news because I read in the AP. And then it's gonna be difficult for you to try to explain how the AP lied by creating their own fake argument. And then at the bottom of the article actually saying they don't have to agree unanimously on which crime was committed. It's incredible how they do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. My personal experience with that, we were just talking before the show, I have all the journalists, I think every journalist in the world on my phone, and they'll attack and I'll write these articles. The headline will be, Mike Lindell did this or whatever, or we talked about the warehouse. Mike Lindell, my pillow's out in the street. The employees, they lost their warehouse. Well, then you read down through the article and then you get the truth at the bottom. But in the meantime, everyone's calling me up. They're going, what do you do? You're out in the street. You lost everything. Are you ashamed of what you stood up for? And But that for me, I've used that as a way to get the word out even. And I was just saying, some of these journalists, I've actually become weird friends with them going, hey, you got to bash me a little more because otherwise your boss isn't going to print the article. It'll be too good. You know, I've done it before where I've had journalists from the New York Times and the Washington Post. I've given them my book to read. I read my book before I give them a long interview. Well, then they read the book and their articles are too good because they're torn. And they never got printed, the one for the New York or the Washington Post, I reshared it everywhere because it was like, wow, I can't believe it slipped by his boss, Oh, right. But I think, my point being is, people now are even getting wise to the articles you describe because you see these headlines, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are still part of the brainwashing. Here's the headline, this is what the truth is, but the truth has been twisted so much by the news, and it's disgusting the way they twist it.
Well, let's jump to this next one. We got a tweet from the Trump War Room. It's a clip from CNN. No change in public opinion during the Trump trial. This is amazing. Check this out.
John, that it began, but apparently it's 44 days. You cracked the numbers. You've run the numbers. All right, let's take a look here. Think Trump did something illegal in the New York hush money case. I've been interested in whether or not these numbers would change at all during the course of this trial. Simply put, John, they have not. Pre-opening statements think Trump did something illegal, 46%. After the direct examination of Michael Cohen by the prosecution, look at where we are now, 46%. The percentage of Americans who think that the charges are very serious, in fact, dropped from 40% to a little bit more than 35% during the course of this trial. So, yes, perhaps things might have changed with those 12 jurors, but when it comes to the larger American public, there has been no change, at least so far, John.
I really love how he had to write no with his finger on their stupid screen.
I like that he's presenting it as a win. Like,
any possible reasons why?
Despite the fact.
Yeah, I think the question is, what's exactly cooking here? Why hasn't there been much of a change? Well, folks like you and me, real news junkies, might be paying really close attention to what's going on. The fact is, most Americans don't really care that much. So closely following news about economy, inflation, that's number one at 65%. Look at immigration, 52%. Election legitimacy, 49%. Abortion, 47%. All the way down on this list of issues tested by the Ipsos Knowledge Panel is Trump's court cases at 42%, significantly less than economy and inflation. The fact is, John, when we're looking at these numbers, what we see is Americans' minds aren't changing, and a big reason why Americans' minds aren't changing is at this particular point, John, they are tuned out of the
I'll just rephrase it for you, buddy. They don't care.
Right.
They're wondering why their eggs cost so much money, why they can't afford
That's
milk
right.
and bread. Yep. And they know that Joe Biden's not the president who's going to fix the economy,
That's right.
and Donald Trump is.
That's right.
That's it.
When I talked to our president the other day, when I say that, I was talking about Donald Trump. And I said, you have this bucket here, this common sense bucket. And I told him, as he keeps getting attacked, his polls keep going up. And once you're in the bucket, I told him, you've given nobody a reason to leave that bucket, because he can go back to December of 2019. And all of us, our lives, no matter where you started or how many forks you ate with, your lives had somewhat improved with the economy all-time high, highest consumer confidence ever. And now the destruction that's going on with the economy and the borders, and I'm being the next crack addict, worry about the addiction, the hopelessness with the fentanyl pouring across and deaths all over. These things are driving people to this bucket of common sense, and they don't care about all this nonsense that we're having to go through. Though that other case where I'm sitting in Mar-a-Lago the other day, where that one judge said Mar-a-Lago was worth like 18 million or some nonsense. I'm going, this wing's worth 18 million. I know what the properties are worth around there, and you just can't. You put your head around this and going, what's going on? What are they doing this for? But I just think it's pure evil, and it's backfiring on them. Let's not just do one. Let's do 4 indictments. Let's just keep going. We pile on, the public will just go away.
Right,
Well,
and each case is the most important one. Every time
yeah.
one hits it, they're like, "Well, we weren't that serious about that. We're really serious about the next one."
This is the big one here.
This always makes me laugh, because CNN is almost like, well, we have to justify, because we thought people would be obsessed with this. Because I assume CNN, or maybe the prosecution, would assume that as they present their case and the media freaks out about it, CNN covered it nonstop, that more people would start to believe that Donald Trump had done something wrong. But in fact, the fact that there's no change tells you how ineffective this prosecution was, and how siloed we are politically.
No. There is a big change. CNN's ratings have gone down.
That's so true.
Right. And I think they're lying about their staying even. They have to, it's probably so much pouring into this bucket, they got to go, well, just say it's even, that it's not going up, when really it's going up, right?
I do wonder how much you guys think the admission from CNN is going to actually move the needle. Now, I don't think that actually anything coming from the courtroom is going to, but I do wonder if, like, the people that have been spreading the narrative and the viewers have been used to kind of allowing them to shift, as the narrative shifts, and not really interrogate the change. Do you think that this is going to move the needle? Do you think that they're going to be like, well, maybe because
Some people.
CNN, how much do you think it's going to matter, if at all?
So a couple of years ago, I was at a family dinner for Thanksgiving. And it was very much you got your liberal family members and you got your conservative family members. Mm-hmm. And then last year it was nobody was with Biden.
Right.
Right. So without getting into too much detail for the sake of people's privacy, it was kind of like, a couple of years ago, it's like, no, Trump's bad. Oh, come on, Biden's not that bad. Last year was, Biden's awful. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a pro-Trump thing. It was, I can't believe how bad things are getting.
That's exactly right. And that's like, I just spent like a week in Chicago, and I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe it that these people, I went to the Capitol, and all the Democrats there were coming up to me and asking me, because they're, I'm all for election platforms, securing our elections. And they're coming up to me. These are politicians coming up to me. Even they see what's going on. I really believe that you look around, and it's a destruction that's going on, but it's actually, all these things that's getting, I call them uniparty Republicans. I call them blockers out there, the Brad Rassenbergers, the Robin Voss of the world that I'm trying to get gone. And these guys, there's been so much revealed and by this onion being opened up, what was the nonsense of shutting down the pipeline on the first day when he was in power? That's done more destruction than anything. All the entrepreneurs in our country, the shipping charges, the stuff that goes with that is destroying, and people, they don't see what's really going on there. This mom and pop businesses where you have these shipping charges because of one thing. You shut down the pipeline. Gas prices can control everything. What I do believe when Donald Trump, I'll say when he's back in, this can all be fixed maybe better than ever, because we've all learned so much what does destroy, what is open our eyes. That border's disgusting. I mean, when you have something that's going right, why would you not keep doing it right?
So Joe Biden shuts down Keystone, shuts down these pipelines, bans fracking on federal lands. And a bunch of Trump supporters are like, oh, look, gas prices are going up. The media then says Trump supporters are lying because Keystone wasn't in operation. It wasn't actually transporting crude, so it has no effect. That's a lie. Right. What happened was there is supply and demand, and there's future prospecting on the amount of supply that's going to be available. When Biden shut down Keystone, basically all of the speculators and all of the companies said, without this pipeline, we are going to be in a supply deficit within X amount of years.
That's right.
Buy now to bolster our stocks of petroleum. And then other speculators come in saying, oh, wow, I'm going to get rich when the price skyrockets, which this speculation causes immediate prices of crude to go up, and then you feel it at the gas pump.
Right. That's right.
It's all speculation.
And not to mention 13 people on that pipeline committed suicide of those workers. That was their job. Yeah, it was disgusting what went on there. They just shut it down overnight, and it was bad.
That's terrible, but people do need to take into account how, like, the policy decisions that an administration talks about, regulations that they discuss, affects the price of gas. And we discuss how immoral it is that the Biden administration is taking, oil from our strategic reserves, because that leaves the United States in a even more compromised position internationally or on the geopolitical scale or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, like, there are still things that the Biden administration could do that would help not just the cost of fuel, like gas, but the cost of everything, because the cost of gas is such a large part of every single thing we purchase.
Huge.
Biden could come out and be like, I'm going to raise gas prices. And they just go nuts. The whole system would freak out because people would start making crazy moves. Yeah. There was this moment when I think it was the Syrian Electronic Army, which was a couple of hackers based in Russia, actually supporting Syria. I think they were Syrian, but they were refugees. They hacked the AP Twitter account, tweeted that Barack Obama had been injured in some kind of attack, and then the market just tanked. Right. And then when the AP got control back and then said this was a hack, it jumped back up to about 90% of where it was. What people don't realize is that was an instant transfer of probably hundreds of millions of dollars from one group to the next.
Right.
That could have just a tweet.
Yep,
that's how simple it is. So what do you think happens when Biden says, I'm banning fracking on federal lands and we're shutting down a massive oil pipeline?
Right.
Gas prices going to go up.
He could do something too, but he's so beholden to the eco crazies that he's got to deal with in his own party.
Yeah, he did make environmentalism a huge part of his platform.
Yeah.
But I think actually a larger component would probably be the Saudis. I think Biden's looking to cut a deal with Saudi Arabia of, okay, you keep the flow rolling. We'll cut down giving you control over supply so long as you agree to work with us, as to how the petrodollar works. Earn favor with Saudi Arabia. You're going to make a lot more money as the main supplier. We'll cut back, but don't do it out of turn. We want to control how much you're actually putting out. So you get more from when Saudi Arabia dumps oil into the market, it affects the dollar. And so the U.S. is trying to negotiate. Right. And then, of course, you get the Yemen crisis, the U.S. supporting them. Trump's not innocent there. That's a whole other fiasco. But I think Joe Biden is basically I told this to Trump. It seems like the MAGA platform is secure our borders, bring our jobs back, get the American workers back to work, boost our economy internally. And the Democrat platform is, no, we don't need to do any of that. All we got to do is send our men and women overseas to go fight in wars, to go blow up people and get blown up, and then hopefully we can control enough territory and energy that we can just take from everybody else.
Right.
That's not a successful policy in the long term. It results in terror, blowback, war, and conflict, and nobody wants to spend money on that.
That's right. I
seen the warmongers.
I seen something. It was such irony. It was just yesterday. I think it might have been on Facebook or Twitter or something. And here in California, so you take away your police, and you have all these electric cars, and all the stations where all of them were cut because there's copper in the lines, and all of them were ransacked. I mean, hundreds of these. Yeah. And they showed all the copper cut out, so they're sitting there. Well, now you're going to have to hire, how are you going to police them? Now you got to remake them to be, because people are going to keep doing it. They don't get arrested for anything out in California. You know?
People are cutting the Tesla.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of copper
in there. There's a lot of copper. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going, this, once again, bad decisions. One of the things when I met Donald Trump, people always ask me, it's in my book too, but is when I met him in August of 2016, I never voted in my life. I was an ex-crack addict. I didn't think politics meant a thing, right? The world goes on. And
You never voted at all?
I never voted. I was a crack addict. One time on a show, and I did my first rally. They go, I was on a radio station yesterday, and there was like 20,000 people at this rally, and I was first speech I ever did. And I go, there was 20,000 people. I said I was getting interviewed on a radio station. They called me the founder of My Pillow and a former Democrat. I said I got right on there and corrected him. I didn't find My Pillow. I invented My Pillow. I wasn't a Democrat. I was a former crack addict. And everybody laughed. I go, no, really, I was, right? But
well, they laughed because they were like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah, but the point being, what I was saying, when I met him. I met him August 15, 2016, and he invited me there just because I had My Pillow made in the USA, and he wanted to ask me, this nobody from Minnesota that had built a company from, being an American dream, and he said, how is it making your stuff here? And he asked me all these questions, and then they had said, now, whatever you do, don't tell him you were a crack addict. Right away, I go, I was a crack addict, and I kind of looked at him like this, and he goes, I said, I'm going to have this network, the Lindell Recovery Network, it's going to be free to addicts, and he says, and I'm going to stop the drugs pouring in. I'm going to shut that border down. But it was so many common sense solutions I go, wow, this is like a businessman, like a CEO. If a president, I never know what a president, I never met one before, but I go, that's when I went all in. I'm going, man, if he really does this, it's problem, solution, and he has a gift of what it's going to manifest to help all people. I always tell people when government's making decisions that don't help either party, if it doesn't help any of the people, there's a hidden agenda. There's a hidden agenda, and it's not good. And
not good for you.
And that's it. And that's why I wanted to secure our election platforms. I mean, what's so bad about that? We all want transparent, fair elections.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody.
Right. Not the bad people. Let's jump to the story from the Post Millennial. Hunter Biden to sue Fox News for calling him a degenerate crackhead. Heavens, why would they say such a thing? Hunter Biden is preparing to sue Fox News for defamation, alleging the network exploited his drug addiction to dehumanize him. His lawyer sent a letter to Fox News several weeks ago threatening legal action for allegedly collaborating with Trump operatives and pro-Russia nationals to defame him for profit. The letter demands retractions, corrections, and on-air apologies. Hunter Biden's attorneys told the Daily Beast they plan to file a lawsuit shortly. Hunter Biden also expressed his frustrations in an interview with the outlet, stating, "I'm not saying my addiction is an excuse for my bad behavior. What I'm saying is that my addiction is not an excuse for them to dehumanize me, and in so dehumanize everybody from the addict that you pass it on the street to the one that you live with. That is the principal motivating factor. Addict, 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 addict. Crack addict. He's a crack addict, smoking crack addict." In response, potential lawsuit, a spokesperson for Fox News cited the company's statement about constitutionally protected coverage regarding a public figure who has been the subject of investigations by both the DOJ and Congress and has been indicted by two different U.S. attorney's offices in California and Delaware and has admitted to multiple incidents of wrongdoing. So in his book, he said he was a crack addict, a crack daddy, and a crackhead. You can't sue someone for that, you know.
Well, maybe he thinks because Fox pays off on frivolous lawsuits, so maybe he thinks he's got a chance, Can I say that?
But that's true. I mean, Fox is probably just going to be like, okay, what do you want? The lawyers are going to go to Fox and they're going to say, it's a ridiculous lawsuit. It's going to cost you $200,000 to go to court.
Right. And this is where we're at. That's another thing, too, that bothers me in this country with lawfare and everything else. You can be right on something, and it costs you more to say, no, I didn't defame her, I didn't do this. I'm in the middle of it. I know. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. These suits that are
especially when you're suing like the government, right? Like if the government's coming after you, they can spend taxpayer money all day long, forever and ever. Whereas you eventually, maybe not you, but the average American will run out of money at some point.
They took my cell phone at a heartbeat. I sued the FBI and our government. They never gave my phone back. I took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they wouldn't accept it. So now I got to shelf that over here. They're never giving my phone back. I use all my business. I wasn't charged with a crime. Yeah. You can't just take, nowadays, my phone is everything, all my business stuff. That's crazy, And I kept fighting and spending more money. I'm going, you know what? I got other bigger fights. So everybody else, they still have my phone. I have my grandkids' pictures on there that I can't get off of. Even the judges in Minnesota, the Supreme Court, they're the 9th Circuit or 8th Circuit, whatever it was, they go, the 3 judges go, well, are you going to give us phone back, or can you just do a download? No, we're going to keep this. This is the lawyer for the government, right? And they go, And then they asked, one of the judges said, well, what about client or attorney-client privilege there? And he goes, well, we're looking through it all. So that's like, okay, so you say, oh, we shouldn't have seen that. We shouldn't have seen that. Wow. It's like a jury, disregard what you just heard. You know, it's bizarre, the weaponization that's going on, and they where you turned up when you talk about defamation, and here, you know, you talk about my cases. You know, the electronic machines that were used by our government, they're basically our government device, you know, in all our elections. Mm-hmm. You know, why should I get sued? Just say, hey, I want to see inside them. You know, I want some transparency here.
Yeah, Ian often says that election machines should the source code should be open source.
Yeah, they should be open. We should all be able to see. Hey, show us what's inside. I used an example once. I said, if somebody accused my pillow of having rocks and knives in it, do you think I'd go around suing you all? You just got, Mike, we used them in our pit out here and we jumped through, there's rocks and knives in them. I wouldn't sue you for saying that. I'd say, no. Look inside this beautiful patented fill. You know, well, I would expose and show you what's inside.
There was that guy who called your pillows lumpy.
Yeah. That lawyer, I said, you know, what a jerk. He attacks my pillow and my employees, you know. I think I called him a few names I probably shouldn't have said. But they leaked that out of the deposition. That's supposed to be private, right? You know, they leaked that out. And then the judge...
they leaked it to make you look bad, but it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny.
You know what the lawyer says to me? Then he goes, and this case is still going on. He goes, well, you know, the judge is going to see this. I go, well, good for her. I got a big problem with Judge Wang out of Colorado, and I do got a big problem with her. You know what that judge did? Here's what she did. This lawsuit started in the summer of 22. So it's so frivolous. What I did is we put in for to get it dismissed, a dismissal. Well, that's like if I put a lawsuit against you, or if anybody did it, that's your first line of defense is, hey, I wasn't at that. It's not even me. You know, you put in for a dismissal. Well, this Judge Wang decided, you know what? I'm not going to rule on the dismissal. You go ahead and pay for discovery and everything else and move this forward. If I didn't have the resources, if somebody off the street, if a judge did that to them and they were completely innocent and they did that and said, you go spend all this money on lawyers and all this garbage, it was wrong. So this was 9 months later when I was in that deposition, and I let that Judge Wang have it. I said, you know what? You either rule. I don't care if you rule against me. You don't change our country, and change our country and set a precedence where every judge can go, oh, we're not going to do it. I'm not going to rule on the dismissal. You go into discovery. Mm-hmm. I had it with her. You know what? I went on my show that night and I just ripped her up one side and down the other. But she ruled the next day. She ruled against me on the dismissal. But at least she made a ruling. That's all I asked of her. You know, I just wanted the ruling. But that lawyer, that was a whole other deal. I let him
he attacked your integrity and your product.
Yeah, he attacked it. He attacked my pill, my company. I mean, what does this have to do with you and your crooked client, you know?
People don't understand that, they think this country was once... We've always been in some kind of conflict. We've always been in some kind of escalating state of conflict. But in the 90s, things were pretty okay.
Right.
The Democrats and the Republicans got along on most issues and argued. And so that's kind of where people are like, that's when things were pretty good. It was the 90s. Mm-hmm. We disagreed. There was the impeachment, the scandal. But people generally got along.
That's right.
Today, we are back in this conflict state where, look, you probably know it better than I do. When it comes to lawsuits, one of the first things the lawyer asks is, where do you want to file? If you file in a blue area, you lose. If you file in a red area, you win.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Mine was supposed to be filed, they're both blue areas, but in Minnesota, and they moved it all to D.C. They moved all my cases to D.C. One of them, I sued the other one first. I sued them, and I'm going, and they tell me, oh, your lawsuits are no good. Mine was ruled down. No, your lawsuits are no good. We're going to dismiss those. And not only that, we're going to sanction you. I had to learn these new things, sanctions, and you don't have standing. Yep. I mean, the sanction was the worst. I asked to see in my own case against a machine company, I won't even name their name. One of them, I subpoenaed machines, some in Michigan, to get the machines. It's my evidence, right? It's a couple $2 billion. I think I should get to see my evidence. The judge ruled, no, you can't see them. And even for asking you, they sanctioned me $24,000, my lawyers, for asking. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, huh?
In D.C.?
No, this was in Michigan where I asked for the machines. And that judge there sanctioned me.
Yep.
And then they go, and then the media use this. Well, it was a Trump-appointed judge, Mike. Who cares who appointed the judge? My best judge is down in Georgia, where an Obama-appointed judge. Actually, it was 3.5 years, this case against crooked Brad Rasmussen down there, the Secretary of State, and the curling case. Finally, last fall, she made a ruling, said, hey, the experts have looked inside these machines, and she said, we're going to bring this to court, or bring it to trial. And she said, and if you question the machines, you're not a conspiracy theorist. I was so happy I got to take off my tinfoil hat on national TV. Jimmy Kimmel he aired it where hey, just because I want to talk about it doesn't mean I'm a conspiracy theory. So then it goes to her court in January in Georgia. A guy, Halderman, the expert, with a ballpoint pen hacked in to the machine in front of her and changed the election in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And so now she's in a tough position because she's still deliberating. What do we do now in Georgia to get rid of these machines that were proved right there? There's problems. There's problems. We're not turning over an election, proving that. You're just proving you can't use these devices. That's all it is. Yeah. And she's got to make a decision. My guess is, well, let's just wait till after 2024. In Georgia, this is the third election in a row that waited with those machines for a ruling on that case, where crooked Brad Rasmussen, the Secretary of State, a Republican, the biggest uniparty blocker in history, keeps blocking down there and blocking and blocking. And one of the things you said, I really believe when you say our country, when you talk about this division, this arguments, I believe what's going on now is uniting the people. I think that I really do. I think it's uniting the people where we're going to get to a common place going, hey, we want to have the American dream here. We want to live our freedoms. We want to have, it doesn't matter what party you're in, where you have the parties, the media will put this together that there's arguments here. And like you even said it best, you get less arguments now a year later or 2 years later at the dinner table where you have this divide. It's the bad things going are actually uniting.
Well, and I think this is true of judicial systems in the U.S., right? I think it's actually a very bipartisan feeling to think that you're going to go to court, and if the judge decides they will rule against you, they could potentially make it extremely difficult for you, that the fees of fighting a lawsuit that maybe you really need to are so overwhelming that you could basically risk everything. I mean, it's something that people of all political persuasions fear, and we're seeing it play out over and over in all kinds of cases, businesses, political, personal. I mean, it is something that I think the media thought, we'll scare people into believing that this is the way forward. But actually what ended up happening is people are looking around going, this system is going to break me, and I cannot keep up with it.
You're exactly right. And I think for where God has put me on this platform out there where, I spent most of my time in the inner cities of Minneapolis back in the day. And like I say, I never voted. And so out there, when they see, when I see people all over the country now, it's like they don't come out to me, oh, you're a Donald Trump supporter. No, they know that I'm out there. I didn't change. I didn't change from where I was. All of a sudden, I was the CEO of My Pillow. I had an addiction network out there that's free. I was put into this election platforms that I want to secure because it all comes from there. If you don't have fair elections, everything stems from, now you could say the stolen election. I'm talking all elections. I went around the world. I went to France, or I talked to France, Germany, UK, the Netherlands, all these places that have secure elections because they use paper ballots, hand counted. Is it so bad that I voice my opinion? That's what I want. That's what we need. And I can prove it. I can prove that those are the best systems. All it took is one judge in Argentina last summer to say, you know what? We're going to go to paper ballots, hand count. They switched over in 4 months, faster than the Netherlands did, and they had their first fair and fair election they've had in years. Taiwan did it, Ecuador did it, and these are things that I believe the public needs to see here because we have the worst election platforms in the world. We're worse than any other country.
Do you think that concerns about election security or election integrity are going to deter people from voting this year?
No,
do you think we'll have low or high voter turnout?
I think it's going to be the highest in history because it's flipped on that too. People, I told this to Donald Trump too. I said, people are, you always say, hey, well, let's get everybody get out and vote. Now you're seeing, like, I'm from Minnesota. It hasn't been red since 1972, okay? We're the longest in the country. And there, it's like, it's everybody's engaged to vote because they believe that the system, that the elections are rigged, and that the elections, whether it be the machines, the early voting, the drop boxes, whatever you want to call it, and they believe that, hey, we've got one shot, and we've got to completely override this, and then we can fix the platform. I'm out there fixing as much as I have. We have over 250 counties that are now going to go to paper ballots hand counted. You can check that out at lindellplan.com. I've been working. I have over 300,000 people in all 50 states. And we work from the county up. Most counties can vote them out themselves and just go to paper. I mean, it's so simple. And but these people that, they feel alone, a lot of them are scared because they've weaponized against them too. And I will say and they go, well, who's behind this, Mike? All I see, and my biggest blockers are these uniparty Republicans. And I'll give you a really good example in Arkansas. This is a red state, and you got Cleburne County. They voted in their own county to go to paper ballots. And all these other counties were going to follow suit. This a little over a year ago. Well, this guy named Kim Hammers, he's a Republican, went to the Senate and shoved a bill through. Here's the bill, how it reads. If you go to paper ballots in Arkansas, we're defunding your county. So right there, it's like racketeering going, hey, you either go, and what do you think Cleburne County did? They go, oh, we're sorry, we even thought about it. We're going to go back to the machines,
Right, because whoever has the money is ultimately making decisions. That's what I find really interesting about all of this, which is that, today's voters, especially young voters, if you're being told constantly your vote doesn't matter because you're already in a state that's going to definitely go to whatever candidate, or, anything could happen with the ballots or whatever it is, like it actually, my concern would be that it would deter people from participating in the system.
Normally it would. I'm from Minnesota. I know, like, what good is it? It's blue. It's always going to be blue. But here's another thing that's driving that I believe this will be the biggest turnout in history for the whole country ever because of what's going on right now, the destruction of our economy. The things you listed up there, the number one was the economy, the border, the election platforms, those three things. Well, you're still going to go vote because people know that everything comes from our election platforms. We got to use what we got. However broken it is, we've got to use what we got. And then people say to me,
No, finish.
But people say to me, they go, because there's a big argument, oh, you go out there and be like the Democrats and vote early. And I'm going, rubbish. That's me. I'll say it straight out. You vote same day. I know from everything I do, you vote same day. You get out to vote. Of course, if you can't vote early, but I tell people, take those mail-in votes. They drop like Michigan, 7 million over the state. Go, everybody just have at it. Take your vote, your ballot that you got sent. Don't vote early and go in there election day. And if they say, oh, you already voted, say, no, I haven't. It's right here.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that is going to be a great plan. And it is at least 10 times harder for them to cheat on election day. And that's coming from me. I've spent more money and know more about that than these people out there that are saying that. And I believe we're going to have the biggest vote ever.
Let's jump to this next story. This is from the Daily Mail. Doomsday CEO who correctly predicted the retail apocalypse issues another stark warning about the U.S. economy. It's ready to crack. Bob Nardelli, a respected CEO, blames the Biden administration. So this is not the first time we've heard this. There are numerous stories right now where tons of economists, CEOs are saying the economy is on the verge of shattering. Quote, what I've seen over the past 3.5 years is that a series of debacles and missteps have created a tremendous pressure on the fault lines of our economy, and they're about ready to crack. Whoever gets the next stint in the White House is going to be hit with a wrecking ball in trying to correct the missteps and the overspending of this current administration. So we're in for a rough time, I would say. Mark that, take a note down, screenshot it, put it in your phone, because when Donald Trump wins and the economy is in shambles, they're going to blame Trump. And then when things start getting better, they're going to say, oh, well, it's in spite of Trump. But I'll tell you this right now. I can see it. We can see it in the sentiment on the internet. You can see it in all of the comments that we get. And we can see it in ad sales. We can see it in small businesses no longer buying as much in ads. I don't know. You guys seem to be doing pretty well, though. You're on the rebound with pillows.
Yeah, we are at My Pillow, but you realize with us, we're a little different. Is every time you see a My Pillow ad, what if I only had to live on that? Which times I only had to live on doing a little show. So I want to make that as best as I can be, and it's tracked by a promo code and a 1-800 number.
Yeah.
Every one of them individually. So if it doesn't make it, I don't run it. So when you see a lot of ads, we're doing,
it's working.
It's working. And
I've
now
seen that.
are we back to where we weren't? No, but and then part of that is the economy. I can do, I have to say, well, is it because of the attacks and everything we've had, or is it, the economy? The economy is definitely affecting. I have another platform called mystore.com. It's all entrepreneurs, USA-made products. I give them a place, a safe haven. All of them, without that, they were so hurting. They're hurting because of, like you say, shipping, everything else with this economy. And I think, you read that up there that it's going to clack the economy. I believe if Donald Trump, I'll say when he's in, just on the what everybody knows, because he's already been there, done that, and now it's going to be done. Now what he's learned, it's going to even be better. I think everything's going to just be almost faster than you could ever imagine. And I really believe that. Just on, you see companies like when they do an IPO, just on the hope or whatever that, because he's got something to back it up.
Yep.
Proof of concept. That's what he has. He has proof of concept.
People are going to, if they announce that Trump wins, say, what is it, November 5th? Is that election day?
Yeah.
They announce Donald Trump is the winner. Let's say it's November 6th, 2 a.m. or whatever.
Right.
You're going to see the market first thing in the morning go straight up.
All three. Yeah,
Everyone's going to be buying.
In 2016, it started going up about, right when they figured he was going to win, and you could just see it move. And I didn't know anything about the stuff then, and I asked a friend of mine, and I said, what does that mean? He goes, it means somebody knows Donald Trump's going to win.
Yep. Yeah, so Trump is securing the border. Mm-hmm. Deportations, control of immigration is going to be better for the economy. You get these leftists who are arguing that, no, the unfettered illegal immigration is good for the economy. It's not. Mm-hmm. It displaces low-skilled labor. It displaces the youth. And so young people can't find work when they need
Right.
and they end up sitting around doing nothing, getting good at nothing. And then by the time they're in their 20s, they're like, I don't know what to do.
Just like with the futures in the stock market that we were talking about, when you get when Donald Trump was elected last time, like the business community was like, all right, this guy is friendly to business. He understands how difficult it is to do business with all the regulations. If you have him elected again, you're going to have the economy respond, because the people that actually invest and actually build things are going to say, well, look, it will be a friendly business environment. And signaling that to the economy is a big deal. Like, if you signal to the economy that it's going to be an unfriendly environment for people to invest, for people to try and build their business, they're not going to, because the most important thing for most entrepreneurs is preserving capital.
Right. It makes me think of, because the Biden administration placed such a priority on all of the environmental policies, regardless of how they affected business, you'll see headlines that are like, the last two coal mines in New England are shutting, or coal plants in New England are shutting down. And they tout it as this victory, right? No more coal, it's evil. But they don't want to talk about the jobs that they cost. They'll say, oh, well, anyone who loses a job because of this program, we're going to transition you to doing this new thing or whatever else. But ultimately, they are pushing this environmental agenda at the cost of the economy. Can you imagine being a business right now?
And all that is a story. Like, when all they have to do is be able to come up with a story. Well, we'll go ahead and make sure people have jobs in this area. People say, oh, okay, you have a plan.
And they never talk about it again.
Then it's fine. Then it's solved. But they don't think about the actual real human beings that have to go through the changing of jobs.
Be retrained.
Yeah, it's not as easy as, oh, well, we'll just get rid of your jobs and we'll plug you into other places. Human beings are not cogs that can just be placed
especially
in
if you were
positions.
someone who had worked in an industry for 20 years, right? To be like, actually now you have to be trained to work on EVs instead. Like, what are you going to do at that point?
The biggest displacement of jobs, Tim, you hit it there, is this. When I was in Chicago, I'm doing this big program, flipping Democrats, right? I'm going to flip them to this bucket of common sense. And I've talked to them all. We had the room full. By the time we left, I think all 500 were flipped. But there were a lot of Hispanics there. And all of them were very upset of the illegals coming in, because they're losing their jobs to the illegals.
Yep.
And I talked to that whole, one after another. And then now you think of this, those illegals that are working, you talk about money laundering, think of all the people that are hiring them, that are paying them cash and not paying their taxes. In both ways, and they're probably undercutting them in a wage anyway, because they can, save it both. So I got a legitimate business with legitimate workers, and the next door they got the illegal ones, And of course, their labor's cheaper, everything's cheaper, and then I'm suffering here, and then pretty soon this guy might make a bad decision. Well, I got to join and do the illegals too, and these guys are losing their jobs to this invasion.
People need to understand that there's you pay, I think, 7.5 as a worker, and the business pays 7.5% employment tax. So if a guy comes in and he's like, look, I just need $20 an hour. You go, okay, so after taxes, you're going to take home what, 16, 15 or 13 or whatever.
Right.
Then I got to pay on top. So my total cost is going to be 20. Not interested. Then an illegal immigrant comes in and he says, I also need $20 an hour. And you go, it's going to cost me $24 an hour to hire that other guy. It's going to cost me $20 an hour to hire you, and you actually keep more of it. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $18 an hour. You're not paying taxes anyway.
That's right.
Saves me $6.
Yep.
And you're making more. And that's how they run it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why I believe that's why they didn't make all the illegals legal when they had everything before, when the Democrats did, because I believe that there's all this big money in California, Texas, Arizona, Colorado now, and Minnesota, where they're paying all these illegals cash and they're not paying federal taxes. The business owners aren't. Those are billions of dollars. That's big money.
Now, this is why they're going to. Two big reasons why Democrats are going to give amnesty. The first is they want the votes.
Right.
The second is they want the tax revenue to maintain the Social Security Administration. The concern is that by 2033, the system starts buckling and breaking, and then by 2037, it's gone. Right. So they bring in 15 million people over the course of a couple of years. Then, overnight, they get 15 million new voters. They bolster their majorities in Congress, and they can now target these people with 87,000 new IRS agents to put money into Social Security to prop the system back up.
Good point.
Yep.
Yeah, very good point.
That's what they're building. Mm-hmm. And then good luck winning elections ever again when they keep flooding the country and providing amnesty.
Yeah, we get one shot at this as far as I'm concerned. We get one shot. And one of the things at the rally I was just at that I spoke at, and Donald Trump said, when he says, as soon as I'm in office, and he was naming the things that addressing all those top three, the third one, he said, and I'm going to secure our elections and to go to get to paper ballots, hand count, and the crowd went crazy. So it is those three things you talk about: the economy, the border, and our election platform. You secure those three, and I believe we can preserve the American dream. I want to tell a quick story. When you tell people have changed, I was in California. This was a couple years ago in California. There's a thing all over the internet when I was there. And this town was so depressed. The gas was $7.80 a gallon. Everyone there was 25 to 30 years old, I swear. And that's where all the old vehicles were. I wonder where all the old vehicles went, right? And the town seemed so depressed. But they're all coming up to me and talking to me and going, hey, Mike Lindell. And they're wanting pictures and stuff. And I'm talking to them. And almost all of them had voted Democrat. And they're going, you guys realize, I said, I don't know much about politics, but I said, this is $7.80 gas. The decisions that were made by Donald Trump manifested to good for everybody, right? So anyway, I was educating them. Well, I went and ate at this restaurant, and this gal came out, the manager came out, and they took a picture and they put it up on their social media. The owner did. Well, they got attacked by the media. It was like the #1 story in the United States. Mike Lindell goes to this town and they just attack this owner, and she wouldn't take this down. She says, you take your other famous people come here and you don't put them up. She goes, no, Mike's the only one that's ever come here. Well, she stood her ground, and they were the busiest restaurant now in that California town.
Good for her.
But my point being, we left there then, so I seen that, and we went to the hurricanes in Florida. And I went there, and normally you'd see it all over the news. My Pillow donates $80 million or 80 million pillows or 80,000 pillows to Hurricane Harvey, Katrina, whatever they were, But this time I didn't say anything. I never did in the first place. I'm down there working with Samaritan's Purse, and we were in a Hispanic trailer court. And all you could see was their worldly possessions on both sides of these dirt roads, all the way down. It was like two dikes of just all their physical possessions. And we were praying with them. We had interpreters. We're giving them pillows and blankets, but almost bar none, they were coming up and they're going, all they wanted to hear about is if our country had a chance to get the American dream, which I've lived on steroids, going from where I have to crack addict. But they have too. They came from places, came from the bottom, and they had built up their lives. They knew if we could save our country, that they could get those worldly possessions back. The only thing they cared about was losing our country, that they came in here legally and live here now, because a lot of them have been to places that don't have our freedoms. And that meant so much to me and I think that's what you're seeing all around is people are looking for hope. And it doesn't matter what party you're in.
Well, that's why I like the story that you're telling about this restaurant in California, which is like people can supply each other hope. They don't have to look to the government or politicians all the time. Like the fact that this woman was being attacked, people were like, no, we're going to go to your restaurant. You do see that on occasion where people will say like, the way you're being treated is wrong, and I'm going to stand up in any way I can. Maybe you don't have a media platform. Maybe you just patron their business. I think that's the thing that Americans are really craving right now, sort of amidst all the stress and bombardment of all of these negative headlines. People want to believe that things can get better. And I think this has been the interesting thing of contrasting the Biden campaign's messaging with the Trump campaign's messaging, which is the Biden administration will say, well, we're the party of hope and we're party of the future. He said that at one of his rallies and then only talked about January 6th and the past. And Trump really does feel like he is saying like, things are rough right now, but we're headed towards better waters. And I think people need that message because otherwise it just makes you disenfranchised.
Absolutely. That you need hope. My network, and I'll say it at frankspeech.com, that's all I do is put out the hope every day, the things we're doing, being proactive. And being proactive and out there, and where the hope is. I tell people quit watching, media, and even if I see people depressed out there, I'd say a lot of them. Well, I watch Fox day in and day out. Well, they're not going to tell you the hope. It's mostly depressing. Here's what's going on. That's bad. That's bad. And I like to tell people, here's where we have the hope here. Here's what's going on here. People come and you combine what's going on right now that's so sad is with the open borders and the fentanyl pouring in. People that are losing hope are turning to addiction, or addicts are getting worse, and that's deadly. And so that's where I'll go around the country, and that's where I have the Lindell Recovery Network.org is free. I built it. I put millions into it before all this election stuff. That's what I was going to do, go out and evangelize and say, hey, there's a better way than an addict. I always say, you wake up and with the same problem that you went to bed with, right? No matter how long you stay up. I used to stay up for days smoking crack and everything. Wake up at the same problem. I say, you need a different input to get a different output, I
got a question for you. I got a personal question for you. Is your was your pre-election, pre-2020 net worth public information?
It was, but I was pretty open with it. It was, $200,000-$300,000 or $1 million is what I think was out there.
Well, my question was, how much did you end up losing for trying to do your civic duty?
Pretty much everything. I spent $40 million that I had in cash on securing our election platforms. That's not the lawsuits. That's just pouring money into, everywhere to try and get to paper ballots and this fight to secure our elections. And then the attack on My Pillow alone, we lost $150 million in box stores in a month and a half. And we were their number one product in every box store in this country. Everyone we had, from Walmart to Costco to QVC to Shopping Channel, Bed Bath & Beyond, Kohl's, we're their number one buy-through product. In Walmart, in history of Walmart, the number one $50 buy-through was a My Pillow, not anything else. And so it's not like they said, hey, your products aren't selling. They canceled us. And they were afraid of social media. When they went after them, they thought those were real people. These were a paid hit job on My Pillow. And I told those CEOs and CMOs back in January of 21, I said, you're making a big mistake. Like I talked to Bed Bath & Beyond, their CMO, I said, you guys, those aren't real people. The real people are going to be very upset if you do this. But I wouldn't shut up on TV when I got attacked. I'm going, did you hear about our elections? Yeah, I know I got canceled. Heck, they canceled my Twitter, and Newsmax, the guy tears his microphone off because I start telling about why I got canceled. So, but it was millions of dollars, and we're not getting them back. There
are a lot of people that, they can't go vote. They just can't be bothered to take a day to get up, and walk over and go vote. And you were willing to sacrifice hundreds of millions of dollars in a desperate plea to the people to have secure elections. Yeah, it's remarkable. I appreciate your
thank you. And you know why? It's because I learned how important they are. Like I said, I told you when I met Donald Trump in the summer of 16, I didn't know a liberal from a conservative. I didn't know what a Democrat Republican was. If you go back to 15, I was just so out there. I was busy with my own stuff, my own life, and but I learned pretty quick that how important politics were in everything we're in. One of the things with Donald Trump, they had an opiate bill that came out, and this is right up my alley with trying to help addicts out there and lead them to God and to Jesus, and this is what I was out evangelizing and stuff. But when he invited me to the opiate bill, because in our country, 32 states have laws on the books. This is pretty crazy that you can't treat an addict unless you have 4 years of college, you swim the English Channel, climb 3 trees, all these rules to treat an addict. Well, I'll tell you what, you got places like Teen Challenge and Salvation Army. You know who there that's treating them or counseling them is people that have been there. Well, I've been to so many treatment centers back in the day that we did it in the 80s. You go get a DWI, you go to treatment, get your life back, or a gambling class, whatever it was. And we would go through the motions, and addicts have forgotten more about addiction than these counselors know. And they're looking for hope. And that's why my network, the Lindell Recovery Network, that's hope, and it's free. And
didn't Matthew Perry, the actor from Friends, he said when he was filming that show, he'd struggled with addiction and went out and started addiction recovery centers or rehabs. Similar, I think probably similar reasonings, right? Like if you have lost everything because of addiction, you might even feel more called to intervene in someone else's life and say, we need to get you on a different track.
You've been there, and what I do at my network, you'll get to the website, you'll put down your age and your drug of choice. So the commonality of the drug, when the big thing in secular treatment centers, they have like a 5% success rate. The God-based, the faith-based one's 80% and up. So what Donald Trump did in that opiate bill, when he did that opiate bill, everyone was arguing, fighting over this money, right? And he came up with a plan, a common sense solution. He says, you know what? I don't care what your curriculum is or what you have to do, but you need to show a 50% or more success rate. And they better do it, right? So what a great thing that he put in place there. Let's give the money to the things that are working, right? And that was a common sense solution.
It's prioritizing effectiveness instead of being like, everyone needs the money.
But my point for him is to dig in, even on something like that. These are big things that affects people's lives, and I've seen how politics are decisions made. I don't call it politics. The people that are in charge, the decisions they make affect everything we do. Where before I lived a life going, I can ignore that. I was from Minnesota. My biggest thing in politics ever when Jesse Ventura ran, and when I kind of watched the TV and go, wow, that's interesting. I didn't vote, but I thought it was pretty cool, right?
It was interesting.
It was something different, right?
Yeah.
So
let's jump to the story from the New York Times. BuzzFeed clashes with Vivek Ramaswamy, the former GOP presidential candidate who has invested in BuzzFeed, believes the company needs to pivot. He wants to see commentators like Tucker Carlson in its lineup. Shout out to Vivek on one of the ballsiest moves I have seen. This is how you do it. I don't know if Vivek is sitting there watching Elon Musk being like, I'm jealous. He buys Twitter, turns it into X, brings a bunch of accounts back. Vivek buys, what has he got? Like 8.3% of BuzzFeed. Sent a letter to the company's board of directors saying they've got to change their business practices and journalistic efforts. They say, though he has been steadily buying up stock for months, his intentions for the company didn't become clear until this week. Before his brief run for president, he made a fortune in the pharmaceutical business. He's pushing BuzzFeed to add 3 new members to its board to hone its focus on audio and video content and embrace greater diversity of thought. I got to be honest. If BuzzFeed brought on Tucker Carlson, their market value would go tenfold.
Oh, absolutely.
Just bang.
Absolutely.
I don't know they can afford Tucker Carlson.
Well,
They got to pay him a lot of money.
Throughout also Aaron Rodgers and Candace Owens, right? Like what he's saying is you guys had this old model and you had some success, but it's all falling apart now, and you need to adopt a strategy. And I'm here to say, like one of the lines in his letter that he wrote to them was, I know you're going to instinctively reject what I'm saying because of partisan attitudes, but I think you should try and think about what I'm saying and the fact that 150 million Americans tend to look at the world the way I do. Like if you really want to be a sustainable business, you can't be siloed in one opinion. Right. And I found that really fascinating. And I think, the fact that he has a business background and seeing him sort of see this opportunity is fascinating. partially because this was like a stealth plan. He started buying these in January, right? He basically acquired, somewhere over 3 million shares, just really quietly. He did this. And like we were covered at Scanner last week, I think it was May 22nd, he had 7.7% of the company. And since then, he's gone up above 8. And his message was basically, I'm going to continue doing this, moving up his importance among the shareholders and saying, you could turn this around, but you have to do it this way. And I find this fascinating.
Well, it's good. It's a good business decisions. I have frankspeech.com. We're on everything, Roku, everything now. But we add people. I added Lou Dobbs to our lineup in January. You're adding and getting the word out is, to me, for right now, I think the biggest thing that has changed in our country that's helped is that, and I bring this up all the time, and this is our voice. I tell people January 7th and 8th of 2021 were two of the most important dates in history. Now, I don't know how long you've had this podcast, but I'm going to tell you why. On those 2 days, 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed. Whether you were on Vimeo, YouTube, Suckabucks, Facebook, Twitter, Donald Trump lost his 100 million on Twitter and all this. Everybody was silenced that had spoke out about anything to do with the elections or for that matter, vaccines, anything they spoke out about, that they decided to silence them. But the other one, everyone else was in fear because of January 6th. So at that point, no one's going to talk about anything. The media, they had silenced us, kind of like Nazi Germany. So I always compare it when I was growing up to a little black and white TV. We'd turn it off, it'd go down to a little tiny dot. And we as kids would turn it back on, and the black and white TV would come back to life, right? You see who could get it the smallest. That voice was our dot that day. And like Ronald Reagan said, if we're like a beacon of light on a hill, if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. That's the day when we got past those 2 days where that dot didn't, that voice did not go out. And since that time, we've grown. All these other media platforms like this, podcasts have grown, everything's going. So we're not getting our information from one source anymore. It's so diversified. You don't have just 2 social media platforms. You have a dozen. You know what I mean?
BuzzFeed's market cap right now is around 120 million. Donald Trump didn't he just earn some 1-point-something billion dollar bonus from Truth Social?
Yep.
Trump could sell like 3% of his Truth shares and buy all of BuzzFeed.
Right.
So let's say he doesn't do that. Let's say he sells, 0.5% and then just buys a controlling stake of BuzzFeed.
Right.
Let's roll. What's he got going on?
Well, the CEO responded to this letter from Vivek basically being like, you don't understand our market. You misunderstood, but as a shareholder, I welcome your feedback. And I think that's actually, so BuzzFeed has had a ton of problems. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. They've had layoffs. They had to close BuzzFeed News. But I think his name's Jonah Peretti, and I think he is kind of becoming the obstacle, right? Like any company is... they're responsive to the board and the shareholders, but if their CEO is like, no, we're doing fine, it's going to need a change in leadership to embrace any kind of new idea.
All that matters is that Vivek keeps buying up more and more.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this works out in favor for Vivek. When Vivek comes in and says, you guys are failing, you've got massive debt, you're hyper partisan, you went from $1 billion valuation down to less than 10% of your valuation. The CEO coming out and saying, nah, we're good. Stock price going to go down further.
That's right.
I don't care if it's Vivek buying the with a hostile takeover, or if it's Elon Musk lawfaring Media Matters, or if it's Peter Thiel going after what was it? Who did Peter Thiel because of the Hulk Hogan?
Gawker?
Gawker, yeah, taking them out.
The Hulk Hogan suit.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a bad thing at all. If you've got media companies or whatever that are targeting individuals, that are going after people and messing up their lives essentially just so they can get a story. Sometimes it's political, sometimes it's not, but for the most part, it's just to get a story. I mean, look, someone might come after you and mess up your business as well. That's the way that it goes. I don't see any kind of problem with it.
No, I think it's fascinating. And again, I think because Vivek had such a meteoric rise during the Republican primaries, I think the question was, well, what's next for him? And it is interesting to see someone who has been really successful in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, involved in drug tech research, kind of pivot to being like, well, I can see that you were successful at one point, and I think I know where you're going wrong, and to sort of put this challenge out there to a media company, right? Like, is BuzzFeed really trying to stay afloat, or are the politics the most important thing to them?
Right.
I actually was kind of surprised to see that BuzzFeed still existed, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's me too.
When I heard the story that Vivek was buying, I was like, really? Because I know BuzzFeed News was
I
in the
think
business.
you're going to see a lot of shift in where you thought, like we thought, that all these outlets that did destroyed themselves, basically, that they're going to be taken and they're going to have to change, or they will go out. They will be done.
Look at this. Number one trending story on BuzzFeed right now, 24 celebrities who are 100% all in for Donald Trump 2024.
Wow.
So it
Changes
looks,
as soon as you click on the headline. That's
24 celebrities you might not know are big Trump supporters. That's not even a bad one. It seems like, and there's nothing negative here, it's just showing them. It seems like they may be listening to Vivek. I got to be honest, I bet other shareholders are probably saying, Jonah, he ain't wrong. Look at the meteoric rise of all of these podcasts and how well they're doing.
Yeah.
Look, like, there's money here you're not tapping into.
Yes.
And so, sooner or later, Paredes going to go to his executive editor or editor-in-chief and say, guys, we need more pro-Trump content.
You'd think that they'd look at Joe Rogan and be like, we could do that.
Yeah.
It's not that Joe's got a great thing going on, and his personality is a huge part of why he's so successful. But also his recipe is not particularly complex. Have a conversation and listen to the person that you're sitting down talking to, and don't misrepresent what they say.
Right. I mean, look, famously, at least for me, BuzzFeed was known for its quizzes, right? Where it would have these ridiculous quizzes, tell me what your Taco Bell order is, and I'll tell you,
never
your
should have
dream
done
mansion. I think, honestly, they could lean into this in a soft way and be like, here's a quiz where we'll tell you what Donald Trump meme you are, or, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be like they become 100% go hard for the MAGA movement. I understand that, right? But if you're trying to capture more people, you have to present more than just this one side is dumb and bad, and here's how we're going to talk about it all the time. Right. Why would anyone go there? On top of the fact that especially, a lot of their media ended up being just kind of repetitive. You can't bring in new innovative creators, like people writing the articles or making the quizzes or doing whatever, if you're only siloed in one area of opinion. You're not going to bring in new talent by being like, but we only talk about things this way.
The list is pretty obvious. It's people you probably knew about. But I did not know that the naked cowboy of Times Square was a Trump supporter. You guys, are you familiar with the naked
Good
cowboy?
for him.
Do you guys
I
know?
I didn't know he was. I know who he is.
You've heard of him, right?
Yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
It's funny. Like, he's been going on, what is like 20 years? Or how long has he been in Times Square?
It's a long time.
Long time.
That's wild. Kelsey Grammer, a Trump supporter. I didn't know that. Yeah.
That doesn't shock me.
They're all old people, though.
Old white dudes.
No, actually, and it's like young rappers.
Right.
No, for real. Like Waka Flocka Flame.
I love that Trump is the thing those two groups have in common. That's hilarious.
Look, I was telling this to the Libertarians. The Libertarian Party is unfortunately, like a lot of them, they're the people that pay attention. And regular people mostly don't pay attention. So for people who are hyper plugged into the news and they want the most esoteric policies, they're going to be finding themselves in the Libertarian Party. The realists, who are not revolutionaries who pay attention to the news, are going to find themselves supporting Donald Trump. And the people who only listen to MSNBC and other regurgitated corporate garbage are going to be crying because Donald Trump is a fascist and they need Joe Biden to save them. Mm-hmm. That's where we're currently at in this country.
That's right.
And now you've got, I think what we see with this Trump trial is the Democrats and the judge basically hoping that their voter base, and what they're trying to do is they know, we know.
That's right.
But they're hoping the people who don't pay attention are just going to go, whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, this is what I think it's too late for them because, they, like I say, in the last 3 years, people are getting their news from, it's so diversified now. They're not getting, like you're saying, you're staring at MSNBC and CNN hypnotized. I know this from my own family members. It took a long time for my extended family to know where these guys have come at least to the middle and going, because they quit watching those and they're doing social media, but it's even changing there on social media. I watched a little a troll fight, okay, I always watch that. I'll watch these bots and trolls fighting real people, right? And they're arguing with them, and there's overwhelming them, the trolls and bots. A few years ago, it wasn't like that. And people don't realize all you got to do is click on the bot. You see they have two circles going. They have no friends, right? Two friends, but they'll sit there, and that has even changed. You look at any feed, and you'll have real people here, even on a very left feed. And there'll be this feed, and you'll see all these people there, and you'll have people there that have crossed over the common sense. You can see that they used to, and now they're arguing on there, where before they're either sitting back and taking all this attacks, but now they're sticking up, and it's almost, they're overriding the computer bots,
Yeah, a lot of people are, like on X, people have complained quite a bit. They're like, my engagement is way down. And I'm like, because you get rid of the bots.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of the engagement is like a raw number, like percentage of people who viewed your tweet or liked it, or not even, it's not even about whether they like it or not or comment.
Right.
It's that the government, corporations, foreign adversaries, they're running bots on X. Mm-hmm. And X probably loved it because they were like, it inflates our advertiser numbers. Who cares?
Right. Yep.
Elon says we're getting rid of all of it.
Right.
And now you're starting to see the actual human interaction.
Yep. You're 100%
Yep.
right. I used to advertise, everywhere and on that platform. Twitter was my worst platform. And I'm going, how can this viewership be this high? Because of the electronic or the bots. 100%. I mean, when my book came out, even though it was banned everywhere and all the, right when all the box stores did it, I pre-printed 3 million copies. And all of a sudden they're going, no, we can't have that here. But I put it up on Twitter and put it all the other places. And you would think that would get the most buys and most views. It got most views, but it was bots.
Yep.
And everywhere else, I'm going, that doesn't make sense. I'm a numbers guy.
They're defrauding you.
Yeah. They're defrauding me. I should
they
sue
are.
them. Yeah,
no, this is a big deal.
I'm paying money for advertising, and they, it's like going to a carnival. You got 100 fish in a pond, and I charge you $10, but I only give you bait that only 10 can bite on, because the other 90% aren't real.
Yep. They throw a bunch of fake fish in the pond and say, you can go fish there.
There you go. Fish away. Look, they're everywhere.
And they know the views are fake.
Yeah.
They know the bots are on the account.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for, as long as the internet's been around, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. Elon's cleaning the problem up.
Yep, he is. He really is.
Yep. So people need to understand, they're complaining about their viewership going down, but your engagements are real people now. They got the blue check on them. Mm-hmm. You know what my favorite thing about this was? When Elon was talking about buying the platform and then charging money, I said this is the smartest thing in the world, because it means that if the deep state wants to run sock puppet accounts, they got to pay Elon to do it.
That was
Elon's
smart.
Look, Elon's a businessman, right?
Right.
He looks at X and he's like, he goes to his friends and he, what is it, Gigafund or whatever, the investment company that works with them,
No.
and he's like, so you mean to tell me that the deep state is running millions of fake accounts for free? And they're like, yes. And so if I buy the platform and then charge them $5, I'll just make $100 million per month. It's like, if they pay it, okay, let's buy it, let's do it.
That's a great idea.
It's a deep state weapon they use to manipulate public opinion.
Yeah.
Elon bought it. They freak out, and he's like, yeah, you got to pay now.
Right.
And then they don't. So here you go.
Right.
Check out this story. Let's jump to the story. The Guardian reports Trump reportedly considers White House advisory role for Elon Musk. Let's go. The Wall Street Journal reports the pair have had several phone calls recently, and that Musk could assist if Trump wins another term. You'll love to see it. They said the two men who once had a tense relationship have had several phone calls a month since March as Trump looks to court powerful donors. Musk and Trump connected in March at the estate of billionaire Nelson Peltz. Since then, the two have discussed various policy issues, including immigration, which Musk has become vocal about in recent months. America will fall if it tries to absorb the world, Musk tweeted. So Elon was apparently on some advisory board in the first term, right? And then ended up leaving or something. I think Elon took a red pill. I think he started to see more and more of what was going on. He started to realize more and more of what he was being lied to about when they started attacking him. You know what it was for Elon probably? Tesla, this amazing electric car manufacturer, should be cherished by all of these eco-nuts.
Right.
And they kept attacking him. And then Biden comes out and says all of these great things of these other companies, but not Elon. And he's like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm making electric cars. We're number one. Why am I not included in any of this? Right. And then he realized it's because it's not actually about what they're saying it's about. Mm-hmm. And then one step at a time, he starts to realize what's going on. No. He wants to buy X, buy Twitter. Mm-hmm. They attack him. And now he's just
Well, he's
steam.
at the highest level of your eyes getting open.
Yep.
If you take every one of these last 3 years, the 2020 election to me will be the most important election in history for what it's done the last 3 years is open people's eyes. And I'm talking all the and there's the highest level you can say, Elon Musk. His eyes got open. I mean, he got blinders on. I think everybody was shocked when he buys Twitter and goes, wow, we have, I got my Twitter back. I'm going, you're kidding. And all my people are still there.
Yeah.
I was blown away. I'm going, it brought back My Pillow's Twitter, that one that got banned. That was the first when Twitter, I always tell people this story. When I got out of the news, because I kept trying to raise my hand going, hey, our country, this has happened with our election platforms and all this. And when they banned me on Twitter, my personal Twitter, that was done earlier in January. Well, all of a sudden the media wouldn't attack me anymore. So it went silent. So I'm going, well, what's going to make the news now? I know, what if I lose My Pillow's Twitter? So I sat up, it was 12, I'll never forget, it was 12 o'clock midnight. I'm sitting there, I go, okay, I'm going to go over, the last post on Twitter was from my addiction director, and she had wrote this beautiful thing, here's who Mike Lindell really is and all this. So that was the last thing that was ever written before I lost my personal Twitter. So I'm over on on Jack Dorsey's Twitter, and I'm over there on My Pillow going, Jack, we know, when I'm putting comments over there and they have all the bots and trolls go, Jack, kick My Pillow off. He's using another Twitter. He's been kicked off of Twitter. And they're just attacking me. And I'm going, I want to go to bed. So I wanted them to ban it, right? So I could wake up in the morning, make all this news and start telling people about the election again. He wouldn't take about 3 things. I go, I know. I go, Jack, I know you were in on this, and I look forward to the day you go to prison. Boom, my Twitter went down. I could go to sleep. I wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock. #1 story in the world. My Pillow loses their Twitter account. That was new of our company to lose their Twitter account, even though we weren't making a lot of money off, because I told you all the bots and trolls don't buy pillows, right?
Right.
Yep. So I sacrificed that, but I was able to get the word out in the news, and that was a famous thing on being on Newsmax where they were having me on shows to say, you got canceled, Mike. You got canceled. That's terrible. But I couldn't say why I got canceled, because I wanted secure elections. I couldn't say anything. And here the guy rips his microphone off and walks off the set, which made the #1.
How did your employees react to that? Because I assume your employees are not necessarily all political. They're like, we like this pillow company. We want to work on it.
Neither is my family and stuff. So they've always just trusted me. I built it from the ground up. We didn't with no money, with nothing. It was all hard work, and a lot of them with me for decades. We have careers at My Pillow, so it was a lot of trust. It's going, obviously, and they know me. I never give up. Once I've done my due diligence, I will never back down ever. My moral compass is what it is. I can't unsee what I see or unknow what I know. They know I was never backing down, and a lot of them, they've been afraid for their jobs. Probably more so this year because of the attacks have even been up even more. But as we were losing stuff around us, the walls are getting turned on. Here goes another box store. Here goes another box store. Now, did my board of directors? Some of them left right away. They just, they weren't part of the company, but they were bored, and the one made a public comment. I don't believe Mike and I don't have the same thing. I grew up with him as a mayor of our town. I grew up with him, and all of a sudden he walks off the board because he didn't want to be associated with Mike Lindell at that time. And so, but the employees, we've stuck together. We're like a family, and it's sad because it's an employee-owned company. I'm just the biggest stockholder. So when things do happen, like this last getting canceled, where they've debanked us and everything, where it gets scary for them sometimes, and I'm just, we go through a lot of prayer. We give God the glory, and that's what it's gotten us through, basically. And we have a lot of policies at My Pillow where, for example, if someone dies they're close to, we're not like corporate America. We're going, well, if it's your close, your immediate family, you could take 3 days off. If it's your cousin, you better be to work tomorrow. We if someone dies or if an employee and they're close to them, we don't ask them who it is. It could be their neighbor. They take off and we pay them until they're ready to come back to grieve, whatever. And same way if they're hurt, if it's critical, if they have someone critical in their family, we pay while they're gone. We pay them, go take care of them. And then we have another thing too, addiction, because that's so we'll hire people for second chances. And if somebody does get caught or whatever, they almost expose themselves. I can almost name what the addiction is. We'll go get them the help that I want to give them. I'll pay for the help and pay their wage while they're getting help. Because addicts will use the excuse, well, I got to support my family. Well, good for you, Special K. You're spending all the money over here. I'll put you in. I'm going to pay you while you're in treatment, while you're getting help, and you're going to come out, and it's been amazing, and nobody's really took advantage of it, and they, it's just so they know I have their back, and they've had my back, and you're right, it's no politics. I would say, a lot of them have switched to Donald Trump now, but this was not political.
Right, they didn't start selling pillows.
They were more probably the other way when it started out. And here, when I backed him in 2016 after meeting him, everyone's going. In fact, my board. This is an interesting story. I met Donald Trump on August 15th of 2016. This famous meeting I went into and alone, and we talked about earlier in the show. Well, I went back to Minnesota, and I was excited to tell the media. I was media's darling. I was excited to tell him, hey, I met this presidential candidate. I wanted to tell him what he was like because I had talked to his employee. I went back there, and my board stood around, and then and he was a liberal. He's a liberal Democrat, my one attorney, and he goes, you're going to lose half our company if you do a press release. I go, why would I lose half the company? I didn't know. I just naive going, what? Because I met the guy. I just want to tell people about him. And so I walked out of the boardroom, and my CMO came out. She goes, we didn't get this all this way by you not listening to God. Could I pray about what I do, be proactive? I come back in there, I go, we're going to do that press release. And I said, so I do the press release, right? And I couldn't believe it. It was like shocking. The Tribune on the line and all this stuff, and all these people I broke bread with, all these reporters that would come out how many more employees you have? Mike, you're the American dream, ex-crack guy, you got 1,500 employees. They turned on me. And one of the things was they called me a drug dealer, right? And this thing, now that, wow. And I go, I never dealt a drug in my life. And I'm going, I tried to rid Minneapolis of drugs by doing them all. That was my deal, right? I tried to save everybody. I just wanted to do them all. Or I would give them away. And even my drug dealers, my ex-drug dealers were upset about seeing these comments. So we were all about pulling back, getting that retracted, which they did. They retracted that statement. But it was an attack. I'm going, what did I do? It was something new to me, but maybe that was training for way down the road here when, right. When I spoke at the Rose Garden that time and for up there when the virus came on, the China virus, and then the president had me speak there, what My Pillow was doing to help the country. And I did that, and we were attacked. I was attacked. You think I killed someone? 109 interviews in 5 days.
Do you think that the box stores will ever bring My Pillow back?
I don't. There's been a couple that have came on since then, like Ollie's came on, and some stayed with us. These like Menards and Fleet Farm, like the hardware stores, all these hardware stores. They stayed with us. The number one selling in these mom and pop hardware stores too across the country was My Pillow, not a jar of paint. So a lot of them stayed with us, but none of the ones left have come back. And I put I remember back when it happened. I was on Sean Hannity's show, and I said, they're never coming back if they leave now. And he goes, oh, Mike, you'll change your mind. Don't say like that. And I'm going, to the point now, would I take them back now? Well, I'm sure they, it was a business decision they made. A lot of them were in fear. They had to make a decision. I know now more what the attacks were. And they had to make a decision to their stockholders, to their thing. Kohl's, I know, that was when they're their number one selling product. Their CEO or their whatever, I got a call and, will you quit badmouthing Kohl's? This was during the time. I go, you guys are canceling us. I said, so I gave him a special one day all by himself and said, Kohl's canceled us. I was spreading them out. But knowing what I know now, would I take them back if they did? Absolutely. I've got, it's like people always say, well, Mike, you advertise on CNN and they attack you. And I'm going, or you advertise on Fox, but you badmouth them every day. And I'm going, you know what? I separate business for what I'm doing over here, what they do to me or whatever they attack. That's their deal.
Wow, I didn't realize Menards is the third largest home improvement in the country.
Yeah, and they're a great family-owned company, and they made decisions based on, I knew them. Hey, we're not going to fall for this social media, these attacks, and they stuck with us. Fleet Farm was another one, and it'd be a surprise had those box stores stay with us. As My Pillow, when My Pillow first came out, like at Walmart, they were $59.98. It was their number one buy-through in history. That was like in 2011 or 12. And as the price came down, as we got better at manufacturing my patented foam, got better, we could bring the price down. Then it went down to $49.98. And it was the number one buy-through at $49.98. Their history and everything, QVC everywhere. Then when it dropped down to $39.98, now that was the drop. That and a 2-pack would have been $29.98 for, or, $59 for 2. When that drop would have been made, that was right when they canceled. It would have been the other stores that stayed with us. They couldn't keep them. I mean, there were walls of them at Menards and Fleet Farm. So these box stores, they sacrificed the fear of public opinion, even though the public turned on them. After this happened, up and down the Western Seaboard, like Bed Bath & Beyond, people were filling up grocery carts in Bed Bath & Beyond, going to the front and then say, "Where's your My Pillows?" They say, "We don't have them," and leaving their carts there. They were doing this on purpose. It was like a big protest. And Bed Bath & Beyond is not here anymore. And I feel bad. They made bad decisions, and say, Kohl's and all these, but they sacrificed money. We were their number one selling product. And Walmart, they've got 10,000 products overseas that they make in China. I got a whole different thing with Walmart, a beef with them, where they attack entrepreneurs and stuff, where you invent a product and it shows up in Walmart or there it is on Amazon, and you can't fight that. That's why I created mystore.com, where I give these guys a safe haven. I bring the geese to the pond, so to speak. So I bring the people to that outlet, and then they can buy their products for all these entrepreneurs and made in the USA stuff. But it's a long answer to your question. I don't believe they will. Maybe they will down the road when everyone says, "Hey, it's okay that Mike Lindell wanted paper ballots hand counted," and maybe at that point, where the public.
But not in the near future. Is what you're saying. You don't think it'll be in the near future?
I don't. It could be next year. It could be the year after. Whatever. But they, by that time, was it? I don't think any company could have survived what MyPillow did, and I think they knew that back then. They wanted to kill my voice. It wasn't about. They wanted me to stop talking about our election platform. Period. They wanted me to stop talking. That's why last summer. You think they're attacking me now because I want to overturn the 2020 election? No. I announced last August a plan to secure our elections. And when I announced that, from that time on, the banks debanked us, the American Express, all these different things, they cancel. And because I want to go to paper ballots and there's big money out there attacking MyPillow. They can figure if Mike's out of money, he's going to quit talking. That's wrong. I'm going to talk. I don't care. I'll borrow more money, which I have. I borrowed millions and millions of dollars, put myself in debt, and I will keep doing it until we save our country and get our American. God's got me doing. God gave me this platform, and I pray about what I'm doing. I'm not going to stop.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? 1 like equals 1 FGB. And then head over to timcast.com, click Join Us, because the members-only uncensored call-in show will be coming up in about 25 minutes. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you as members get to call in and hang out. So again, smash the like button. And we'll read your Super Chats. We got Kyle who says, "Thank you so much for asking RFK about my question about reparations. Looks like those farmers deserve their settlement since they won a settlement. Right on. Well, thanks for the Super Chat. Token Black Guy says, "Howdy, people. Mike, I got a pair of your slippers for my birthday. They're amazingly comfortable." I've got my second pair.
And I want to tell entrepreneurs, let's take the slippers. I reverse engineered what slippers should be. This guy came to me. This is kind of funny how things can be invented. He came to me. It's called impact gel. It's made out of soybeans. He puts his hand out, puts this gel over the top, this piece of gel, and he whacks his hand with a hammer. I'm going, what's wrong with you, right? He jumps, he puts the thing out here, and he jumps down. And he goes. What it does is spreads the weight. It's called impact gel, right? It's a patent he's got on it. And I said, wow, these would be great inside shoes or slippers, right? So if you ever cut my slipper in half, you would see inside your other big brands, you're going to see like cardboard, just garbage in there. I mean, seriously. And inside, you're going to see MyPillow's patented foam. You're going to see a memory foam and that impact gel. So when you wear them, it's like you're wearing the most comfortable shoes ever. And when we came out with them, I did a show once. I think it was in Kentucky. It was like 2,000 people. I was there. It was an addiction event. We're talking about addiction, and everybody wore their slippers. And one guy had to say, "Hey, could you autograph my slippers?" I mean, 3 hours later, it's so weird.
This is an interesting sales tactic to say, "We'll go ahead and cut your product in half and see how good it is, and then order another pair."
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go. We got St. Miles says, "Just wanted to say, hey, Mike, I got my king-size pillows and covers today." Everybody's chatting to let you know they got their My Pillow stuff in the mail.
Right, that's awesome.
Well, so I was saying, I think I was saying this before the show, that we moved to the new studio, and so we needed towels. I needed a new pair of slippers. We needed pillows, of course. And so Allison was thinking, like, should we go to Walmart or something? And I was like, no. My Pillow's got that thing now. It's like $25 for everything. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she just bought a ton of stuff. Came in a big
So
pad.
can I give you a promo code to use on the show for the guests?
Sure.
Well, promo code Tim. How about that?
There you go.
Jack Vasovic will be heartbroken.
No, you can use
Finally,
promo
you can
code
enter
Tim.
this competition he has with his
Does
wife.
that exist already?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I set it up. Promo code Tim or
Oh,
Pool.
there you
You
go.
can use either one.
Tim or Pool.
Yeah, Tim or Pool. Or Tim Pool.
It already
That one too?
exists.
I set it up before I got here in case.
Right on.
But yeah, you get all the discounts there, everything, those $25 extravaganza. And we got our 6-piece towel sets, $25. We've got the premiums where it all started. You know, we've sold 83 million My Pillows now.
Good for you.
83,
man.
that's
In
incredible.
total.
If everyone would have told me that back when I invented it, I was going for years and years going show to show, selling one pillow at a time, but 83 million.
We bought 300.
Yeah,
When
that's right.
when we opened the park, I wanted to have a My Pillow pit.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be hilarious,
did.
and 300 was not enough.
Yeah.
it was enough.
It was
sufficient.
It was cool, yeah.
But I wanted it bigger, and when I got here, I was like, "Wow, we need more pillows." But you got your guys hooked us up,
Yeah.
because we called, we talked with Jack, and then we talked to your guys,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Not only do we need the pillows, we need them fluffed."
Right, yeah.
We, and they said, "We'll get it done for
we
you."
sent them whole. Yeah, we sent them whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. These are the premium, or these are the My Pillows that we've sold the 83 million. And I want to say one more thing with that. Those are also $25, whether you get king or queen or any loft level, which is the lowest price in history. You know what I've been doing? These box stores cancel. When they cancel, because we still get cancellation, they'll put in a PO and we'll go, okay. And this just happened a while back, and we're just selling stuff. People go, how can you sell stuff that low? Well, we don't have a middleman anymore. The box stores, they take 50 to 55 points if everybody knows out there. So if they were paying 25, that's why you were paying 50 in the box stores, right?
Yeah.
And so this loss, I choose My Pillow. I tell people all the time, that's their loss. Now you'd think if any one of them wanted to come back and say, have a draw, box stores look for advertising. They look for advertising on TV, and then people will come into any infomercials or commercials. Then they come into the box stores. Well, if you take out that, they're all buying direct now. So
How long did it take you to? I mean, you started. You made a pillow. You were traveling around, and then how did you get from there to selling?
The real
millions?
quick story in 2004. Now, remember, I quit crack cocaine in 2009, January 16, 2009, and I had sold my bars, and my bars I had not a good place for an attic, and I didn't want to sell them. It was a series of circumstances. I was devastated at the time, and but I sold them, and I took all my money. I put it in. I had this pillow idea that. And I had problems with pillows. They'd go flat. I'd use my arm, fold them, and end up in this pillow pile. About 9 months to a year, we tried everything. I remember my son and I out on the deck, we'd have foam flying all over the place, one of my sons, and all through the neighborhood. But finally, one day, we're going, wow, we got it. And I wanted something you could adjust and it would hold there, right? It was a simple concept. But then I also reversed engineered. I'm going to make one you could wash and dry. I'm going to make one that'll last, 10-year warranty and all that. So I was so stubborn to get it exactly what I wanted to solve everybody's problem. Well, then when I had it, it's funny, I went into a Bed Bath & Beyond in Minnesota. And I walked in there, and I was probably not on drugs that day. I can't say for sure, but I walked in there, and I go, I got this pillow. I go, are you the manager? Yeah. And I said, you guys got to carry this pillow. I didn't know anything about retail or anything. I said, it's the best pillow ever, and I'm all excited about it. He goes, you need to leave now, and I goes, get out of here. And so none of the box stores wanted me, and I didn't know what to do, and I finally said, Mike, do a kiosk. And I said, well, how do you spell kiosk? What do I spell? What is it? So we did a kiosk, but I was afraid to talk to public then. I was, I couldn't talk to public. It was very almost fear of speaking, right? And of public speaking. Well, we did this kiosk, and it completely failed. But I was there one day, and the one day my wife at the time and 4 little kids, and we put all our money into it we had left in the world, and we sold I think 60 pillows in that month. But the day I was there, I sold one to this guy, and he goes, He goes, do you have a business card? I go, oh, I'm all out. I didn't have a business card. I wrote my name on a piece of paper and gave him it. And so we go through Christmas completely broke, borrowed money for, I think, from an ex-bookie to buy Christmas presents. Wow. And this guy calls me in January. He goes, hey, are you the guy that invented this pillow in Minnesota here? And I go, yeah. He goes, well, it changed my life. He said, and I run the Minneapolis Home and Garden Show. Would you like a spot in there? And I go, sure. Can I give you a check? You know, and anyway, I get this spot and I put in there and I put a table up so that people couldn't get in my space, you know, because I could talk to them better. And I put a bold statement up, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you ever own. I'm selling these pillows and I sold 12 that day. And the next day, they all 12 paid to get back in the show and came to the booth and go, this pillow changed my life. They're telling me this. And the feeling I got by helping people wasn't about the money. It was so cool that I had helped these people. And I was just hooked on that. So I did shows and fairs for all the way up to 2011. Even I quit cracking everything in 2009. But in 2011, I told my friends and family, I said, you guys, let's do an infomercial. I said, it's going to be the biggest one in the world. And we all pooled our money. I didn't know infomercials don't work. They're only to get you in the box stores, which didn't want me, right? Which has come full circle. So we go to film this in August of 2011. And I wanted a real audience. Remember, I couldn't talk in front of people. This was kind of crazy that I wanted this audience, but I had it in my head. And I wanted to do it like I did it at the shows. Well, we brought in, it was me and this gal that sold pillows too. And they brought in this producer from Hollywood, and he texts the other guy. We are doing our reads. He goes, this is the worst guy I've ever seen. He'll never make it on TV. He goes, just quiet, he's paying you. Well, I get out there the next day, and I was petrified. I'm walking, and it took an hour to do one line. I couldn't talk in front of the people, and I think I went and said a quick prayer in the bathroom. I came back out. I said, can we bring a table in and throw away the teleprompter? I just want to do it like, you know, because I was so passionate about the pillows by then, you know, that because they worked.
But you recreated what you were doing at the trade shows?
Exactly. So we brought the table in. I pretended the audience wasn't there. And I was living in my sister's basement. This was August 7th, 2011. It aired the first time at like 3 a.m. It was like surreal for me. I'm seeing myself on TV and going, wow. And I had trained a call center in Connecticut to take my calls. Well, on the second day of this commercial, it just exploded. And I told like vendor, my patent and phone company, I said, you guys, I need 30-day credit. I said, I'm going to go from 100 million to 200 million overnight. They're going, okay, I will give you a 30-day credit. Well, what happened then, on the second day, I remember calling that call center and going, yeah, what's in that pillow? The guy goes, I don't know, Google it. I go, Google it. I'm on the phone. I fired the call center. We built our own in 2 weeks. I had 10 employees. 40 days later, I had 500. They go, Mike, you need to be CEO. I go, why do I want to be a CEO? I didn't really know what they were. I go, I just want to make pillows here and help people. And they go, and we need a corporate attorney. I go, that sounds horrible. We need an HR department. That sounds even worse, you know. So we grew this huge growth. Number one infomercial in the world by the end of December. And I tell this story when I do rallies and stuff. And over the next 6 months, we took in $100 million.
Wow.
And I remember calling my friend. I go, Tom, do you know the ATMs don't go to the 7th digit? He goes, no, I didn't know that, Mike. I'm going, it was crazy, all this money comes in. Right? And he goes, but I woke up in May that year, and we were $6 million in debt. And I was in tears going, God, what did I do wrong? And I started digging in over the next 2 years to dig out of that with no bank or anything. I built everything with my hands and from the ground up. Everything we owned, we built and just kept making inventory. Well, to dig out, I learned so much from 2012. There was betrayal. I made handshake deals, contracts. Didn't matter which one I made. People took advantage. And then I brought it on and I wanted to do it my way, where everything is tracked. What if I only had to live on that newspaper ad or that one podcast or that one show? I took it in and we did everything ourselves and basically micromanaged everything and macromanaged. And that's to where we got today, 83 million My Pillows later, this big company, thousands of employees. But I always look back and say, if 2012 hadn't happened in My Pillow, I would never be here because I learned so much. And I tell any entrepreneurs out there, business people, learn by that. You learn by that mistake. But it was so big, it was devastating at the time. But I look back now, if that didn't happen, I would have just been slowly, I would have never got big.
Got it, right?
I wouldn't have got it. And I look at the 2020 election like that. if the 2020 election hadn't happened, so much has been revealed now. Whether it's bad, we're going to look back. I always say, this is on God's time. We're going to look back and say everything had to happen, even the bad. God uses all things for good. And people, like you see, it's opening people's eyes, like we've talked about. From Elon Musk on down, it's at least opened people's eyes to this bucket of common sense. It just comes down to common sense.
Let's read some more super chats. We got Christian Bond says, Phil, listening to Divine took me back to 06. Just got my meet and greet passes. See you in Phoenix, brother.
Sick. Awesome. Thank you so much. Can't wait. I appreciate it.
Phil's
All
going
right.
on tour this summer.
Yes, we're
Are you going to attend his shows?
What's that?
Are you going to attend Phil's shows?
Well, yeah, where's it at?
We're going to be all over the U.S.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll come.
I'll be up. We'll
Absolutely.
be up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
you let me know. I'll be there.
Awesome.
All right, TRD says, Mike's pillows are definitely not lumpy. Anyone who says otherwise is an ambulance chaser and an a-hole.
I
Specifically,
got so in trouble for my wife for saying that.
Specifically
they
an
weren't
ambulance
supposed
chaser.
to publish that.
I think you should just make merch off of it. It was so funny.
Rudy Cassone says, Biden is waiting for a conviction and then use it as an excuse to not debate. That's actually a good point. I wonder.
Yep.
He's going to come out and say, that's it. I'm not doing this.
Yep.
He's
That's a good point.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to legitimize him. He's a convicted.
There's
blah,
something
blah, blah.
really strange that he agreed to that.
debate.
There's something hidden there. We don't
Yep.
know yet. Yep.
Let's go. Nathan Sherwood says, went home to visit over the weekend and saw flyers for the raising of the Pride flag at City Hall run by Pride of Binghamton, whose logo is a flaming brick with a Pride flag painted on it. Wow.
That's definitely a reference to
Stonewall?
Stonewall, yeah.
None for me. Thanks, though.
No thanks.
Jason Hutchinson says, Mike Lindell saw adversity and conquered it with a pillow. I dare anybody to do better.
Good job.
Amazing. All right.
It's funny that you just got fixated on inventing a really good pillow. Like, were you always inventing stuff in your life, or was the pillow the first and only?
No, well, I had a couple things. I remember inventing a thing for ice fishing we have in Minnesota. My dad and I spent all my money inventing this, and to make a long story short, we tested it up at Lake Mille Lacs, and it worked. And I remember a week later, I was so excited, but my dad calls me. He says, "You need to get over here now." We opened up this magazine, and almost identical, some other inventor 2 years early had thought about it, and it was already out there. It was already out there publicly. I'm going, no way. I mean,
Somebody beat you
that's
to
the
it.
problem solution. Both things. There was only one. The problem was there was only one solution, and we both thought of that solution. So, but usually it's been entrepreneur where my sister flooded a 3rd-story building of an apartment complex back in the early 80s, so I became a carpet cleaner. She had this waterbed went everywhere. So problem solution type thing.
Laundry Room said, sleep is the most important thing you can do for yourself. And I just want to stress that when it comes to, health and exercise and all that, sleep. One of the most important things. You need deep sleep. So people will be thinking like, I'm eating healthy, I'm exercising, but for some reason, are you sleeping? Because a lot of people don't get sleep and then wonder why it is their body's not getting right, even though they're following the diet and exercise properly, but something's still wrong.
And it's quality of sleep too. One of the things with that adjustability of my pillow, keeping your cervical nerves straight at night. Where people, if you bend them, it's like bending a water hose, and you're flip-flopping all night, and you're breaking your sleep cycles of REM delta sleep.
Yeah.
So, and then it's funny because back when I did my first commercials, someone put in their sleep expert. So, and in California, you got to go to 4 years of college to be a sleep expert. So I got sued for $1 million.
Wow.
I mean, these are the things they attack. In the claims.
I don't like memory foam as a solid thing. I can't do it. Beds and pillows, I wake up stiff. My muscles don't move. But the My Pillows are fantastic.
You need a My Pillow mattress topper that fixes that memory foam or any bed.
I wouldn't go anywhere near memory foam.
This ain't memory foam, right? But you like the memory foam?
No, I'm saying like if I wouldn't go on a memory foam mattress.
No,
no matter
you
what.
could. It heats up because there's two things that can ruin your sleep cycles, and that's heat and pressure points. Most beds, that's what they have both of. And I tell people all the time, they'll buy a brand new bed and go, oh, I got my side here. I'm going, you need a different input. It's not going to change. You're going to, but they don't want to return the bed or whatever. So I took the My Pillow mat shop we put on there. I reverse engineered that. Everything I reverse engineer, what should go in there to help you. I don't care. One of the things you won't see me selling is all these decorative pillows that you see in hotels where you take your arm and throw them all on the floor. What's that going to do? I want to,
But what if they look cute?
All right, Acoustic Theory says, if Hydro PX won't be kicked, this chat is effectively unmoderated. But Acoustic Theory, Hydro just complains all day, but he gives us like $100 every night. and it's not like he's like slurring or anything. He's just calling me names. It's a super chatter we have who comes in every night, dumps like $100 just to insult me. But you're allowed to insult me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, you're allowed to. It's always allowed. I mean, it would be like the worst super chat in the world if I was like, I'm gonna just hire someone to delete all of the chats I don't agree with. Right. So it's like, well, thank you, Hydro, for your opinions and your money.
Right.
It was always allowed. You know. Let's get another one. Let's see. Noor Alahi says, I believe it was a literal miracle when Frank's speech effectively distributed absolute proof despite the consistent cyber attacks Mr. Lindell's site withstood. It streamed smooth as silk and no communist was able to stop it. What happened that week was beyond man's power. Wow.
True. When we did the cyber symposium, and when I did the movie Absolute Proof on February 5th of 2021, it was taken down everywhere. In fact, Alan Duke, the Zuckerbuck or the Facebook fact checker, Alan and I have a weird relationship. But Alan put a cover over it that said contains nudity and porn. What? He's supposed to be the Facebook fact checker, right? So they're putting all these things up then. Well, we were canceled everywhere there on February 5th, but close to 300 million people worldwide seen that in 4 days because the public was longing to hear some positive things. And then the cyber symposium, he might be talking about that, the event I had in South Dakota in the summer of 21. It was such an attacks and to get through that, but it planted seeds where I think everybody went back out and said, hey, there's problems. Maybe in our state, maybe in our county, and whatever it was back then, at least, because I thought, well, it failed. What did it do? But it did. Now I talk to people, 2 years later, they go, I was at that, or I watched that, and that made me go and see if I had problems in my own county. And so, the seeds were planted. It worked.
Obama Phone Pro Max 5G says, Tim, how do you think that Trump will save the economy? Inflation is completely out of control, and many economists I've been following on YouTube are predicting something on the level of the Great Depression is coming. I'll just put it this way. Maybe he won't. But when the Great Depression comes, who do you want in charge of the economy? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Your
Good
choice.
Answer.
You pick what you want. No. Do you want the real estate celebrity billionaire or do you want the crooked backroom deals guy? I mean, I'll take the guy who's run a bunch of companies and has got tens of thousands of employees. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything. It just means like, come on. You're not going to hire a janitor to be your accountant. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to janitors. It's a good job.
I just point to people December of 2019. Try and put your mind back there and where you were at, physically, wherever you started from and where you were.
I bet you sold a lot of pillows in 2019.
Oh, absolutely. It was huge. It was massive. It actually went up when I spoke at the Rose Garden in the spring of 2020. Because it got worldwide attention all of a sudden, because everyone was attacking. How dare you talk about reading the Bible from the podium?
What a concept! How dare you?
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not gonna come in and save us. It's just that it's better than Biden.
Donald Trump is not going to come in and save us. He's just not going to keep setting us on fire like Joe Biden is.
Yeah, that's the reason that I asked Cash about his plan for unfunded liabilities and stuff. Our biggest problem, I say it over and over, our biggest problem facing the country is unfunded liabilities, mandatory spending, the things that the government has to spend, the discretionary spending, military spending, all the things, even as much as I talk about getting rid of entire bureaucracies and getting rid of cabinet level bureaucracies and stuff like that. That's nothing when it comes to saving money compared to what is actually needed to happen to stop the massive problem with our unfunded liabilities. So Donald Trump, if he doesn't have a great plan, at the very least, if you can get a friendly business environment, then you can have your economy start growing again. And at least it can moderate how fast the problem compounds. Because again, this is our problem, compounding interest. But the more productive your economy is, you can stave it off and possibly could come up with a solution. If if not, we're going to be looking at serious austerity in the United States, and America is not ready for that. If you think the problems that we have now with the economy the way they are, all the other social problems with the economy the way that it is, they all get magnified times 10 or 100 or 1,000 when you throw on top of an economic crisis. All of the problems that, like all the stuff you hear about before World War II in Germany, there was all these bad things going on, including a massive economic problem. Massive economic problems just amplify all of your social problems. So this is a big thing that we have to worry about.
This is a good super chat. I like this one. Brown Bear 992 says, important question for Mike. I want to get a MyPillow, but I don't know which fill level is right for me. What should I do?
Well, you can go right to the website, or one of my operators. They'll ask you a couple questions right on the site, and you'll be custom fit. Use promo code Tim.
Right, there we go.
That's great.
Eat your heart out, Jack Posobiec.
He's gonna be so mad.
You should bury Poso just because he's always throwing shade at his wife.
This is the number one promo code out there. So
Poso is?
I think he does it with his wife. His wife,
Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah, they argue over whose promo code does better. Hers does some weeks, but
Well, not for long. Look at Tim now.
there you go.
Promo code Tim. Let's go. What do we have here? Mike17 Frank 161 says, howdy, Tim. I'm a big fan and private member. I'm asking for a donation to the Arkansas Firefighter Museum and Fire Education Center. They're a 501c3. I know times are tough, but every donation helps. Thanks and God bless. That's the Arkansas Firefighter Museum. Let me punch that in.
That's cool.
Okay. Just bear with me. Arkansas Firefighter Museum. Let's pull that one up.
I love museums. I feel like they don't get enough attention, and they're so easily hijacked by people with really
I don't know the
progressive
website.
ideologies.
I got to find the website. We'll find the website. We'll grab a couple more super chats while we're here and see what we got. Mr. Shazam says, I'm broke now, but words have value. Thanks. Thanks for the super chat. Polly Pure says, Kelsey Grammer's show Frasier was a mockery of the left wing. Was it? I guess. All right. Barely a Millennial says, I bought a MyPillow 2.0 last year. They accidentally sent me 2. Tried to send one back. They told me to keep it. Made my day. LOL, it's the little things.
That's awesome. That's our customer service, by
Free
the way.
pillow.
I tell people in business, treat every customer like it's your only customer. Because I remember only having a few customers. I remember one kid not getting his birthday present in time, or wasn't going to get in time. This lady called me from Wisconsin. It was a 6-hour drive. I'm back in the day, and I felt so bad. It wasn't my fault. It was the shipping. So I drove the present there. You think she's going, I can't believe you did this. But you know what? We built our company on that. And so just like that, I tell people, hey, if it's our mistake, tell them to keep it. But it's great that they call. They have that, I just go, you've been so honest, keep it. They're going, oh, no. And I'm going, no, really.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We're going to go to that call-in show. So if you haven't already, smash the like button. 1 like equals 1 FJB. Head over to timcast.com, click the Join Us button, and become a member. Join the Discord server. The members-only call-in show will be starting in a couple of minutes, where we will talk to you. You will actually call in and talk to us and our guests. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to your questions. Again, smash the like button. You can follow me at Timcast on X and Instagram. You can follow the show also on Rumble at Timcast IRL. Mike, do you want to shout anything out?
Shout what up?
Shout out something? More pillows, I guess?
Where can people find you?
Promo
Follow
code
you?
Tim.
Well, here, I'll tell you what you can do. Here, okay? 3 things. One is if you're discouraged and want to see the hope, go to lindellplan.com. Go to lindellplan.com. I've got it all laid out there, what we're doing to secure our elections. And everybody, I don't care who you are, you're going to have some interest to go there. Another thing I want to say, if you're married, if you know someone that you think is incorrigible, he's an addict and there's no hope, I disagree. Go to LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's free. And one of the things, if you tell your addict there, if you tell them, most of them know me, and most of them know I was an ex-addict. So they're going to trust, hey, he might know what he's talking about. So that's that. And then also my store with the thousands of entrepreneurs there. I encourage you all to go there and help these entrepreneurs. Use promo code TIM. And also at MyPillow, my employee-owned company. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. And I want to tell everyone, because of the audience out there, because the public's got behind us, just over the last 3 weeks, we've hired 30 new employees, and our manufacturing went up 60% over the last month. The last 5 days were our busiest days of the year. And usually this time of year is one of our slowest. So we're really on the upswing, and it's because of everybody out there. And now we got the great new promo code Tim. So
There you go.
It's like a stock market going straight
That's
up.
right. Right on. Phil.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can follow us on... Oh, actually, no, we're going to be on tour this summer. We're going on tour with Megadeth and with Mudvayne. It's the Destroy All Enemies tour. You can check out our new single, Divine, on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Doozer. And don't forget the Left Lane is for Crime. Hannah Claire.
It's been so fun to be here tonight. I'm Hannah Claire Brimmel. I'm a writer for scnr.com. That's Scanner News. Follow all of their work at Timcast News on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b, and I'm on Twitter at hannahclaireb. Guys, thank you for everything you do. Bye, Serge.
So, Hannah Claire. Bye, guys.
We will see you all over at timcast.com in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.